Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible and visible? Good evening, everyone. Am I audible and visible? Kriti, good evening. Am I audible and visible? Good evening, Gunjan, Simran, Akshara, Anamika, Vandana. Good evening, all of you. Mahak, am I audible and visible? Meshak, Kriti, thank you. Thank you, Anushka. Mohammad, good evening. Anamika, Ankush, Rupa, Shailaja. Let some more people join in and then I'll begin. Right. So let's begin. Shailaja, what is monarchy system? Monarch is a king, ruled by a king, a kingdom ruled by a king, Shailaja. So what's today's goal? Today's goal is to finish Mauryan Empire and start with post-Maurya period. Deepshika, Megha, Ankush. Okay, let's begin. Mauryan Empire, yesterday I began with the Mauryas. I finished with the post-Maurya, post-Vedic period, later Vedic period and pre-Maurya period. So I finished with that chapter, Vedic period, Rig Vedic period and later Vedic period, and then of course the pre-Maurya period. Then I began with the Mauryan Empire, but I could not continue because of dearth of time. So let us today finish Mauryan Empire and then go to the post-Maurya period. As I have told you yesterday, real Indian history, proper Indian history is said to begin from the Mauryan Empire onwards because we have a number of sources, authentic sources and reliable sources, both literary sources as well as archaeological sources. Among literary sources, we have foreign as well as indigenous sources. And among the archaeological sources, the most important are the edicts of Ashoka, the royal messages which Ashoka got inscribed on the surface of rocks, pillars, and caves. They are called rock edicts, pillar edicts, and cave edicts. And these edicts have been found in the length and breadth of this country. So from that, we come to know a lot about the Mauryas. Um, so here, the Mauryas ruled for 137 years, 137 years, 90 plus 47, 90 years plus 47. 90 years, you have the rule of the first three Mauryas, Chandragupta Maurya, the founder, followed by his son Bindusar, and then Ashoka. So these three Mauryas, the great Mauryas, ruled for 90 years. And then later Mauryas ruled for 47 years. Later Mauryas are the sons and successors of Ashoka. So the Mauryas ruled for only 137 years. But then in this period of 137 years, they brought almost the whole of India under their control. They ruled from parts of Afghanistan to the river Kaveri. And this was the first pan-India empire. Almost the whole of India, they ruled. So you can see on your screen the map of the Mauryan Empire from parts of Afghanistan to river Kaveri. Everything was ruled directly by the Mauryas. And the deep south, this is the deep south where you have the Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, Cholas, the Pandyas, and the Cheras. This is called the deep south. Even the deep south acknowledged the supremacy of the Mauryas, and they are supposed to have sent tribute to the Mauryan emperor at Patliputra. So the Mauryas ruled over the deep south indirectly and over the rest of the country directly. Now, we have discussed yesterday about the origin of the Mauryas, who these Mauryas were. So there are various theories as regards the origin of the Mauryas. So we have discussed that. So from Kashmir to Kaveri, from Afghanistan to Bangladesh, all these areas were under the control of the Mauryas. So origin of the Mauryas I have discussed yesterday. Puranas criticize the Mauryas as Shudras and unrighteous. unrighteous is that they did not rule according to dharma. They were adharmis, or wicked rulers. But then historians don't agree to this opinion of the Puranas. I told you the reason. The first three Mauryas supported other religions other than the Vedic religion. Chandragupta Maurya patronized Jainism or supported the Jain religion. Bindusar, his son, supported the Ajivika sect, and Ashoka supported Buddhism. So therefore, the first three Mauryas did not support the Vedic religion, and therefore the Puranas, which are Brahminical sources or Brahminical textbooks, they criticized the Mauryas as Shudras and unrighteous. Justine, a Greek writer, was of the opinion that Chandragupta Maurya came from a humble origin. He said that he came from a simple background, a very humble and poor background. Junagadh rock inscription of Rudradaman. So, in the post-Maurya period, we have a branch of the Shakas ruling over Gujarat and Malwa. That is the Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. So, I'll come to that in some time when I come to post-Maurya period. So, there was a king of the Shakas. His name was Rudradaman. And Rudradaman issued an inscription known as the Junagadh rock inscription. Junagadh is a place in Gujarat. And another name for Junagadh is Girnar. Another name of Junagadh is Girnar. So this inscription has been found on a boulder. So this is called Junagadh rock inscription, on a rock, a huge rock boulder. So in this inscription, the Mauryas are described as of Vaishya origin. He says they were of Vaishya origin. Then we have the Buddhist works, Buddhist textbooks. They say that the word Maurya is from the word Maurya. The word Maurya is from the word Maurya. That is, they say, the Buddhist textbooks say that they were peacock tamers. The Mauryas were peacock tamers. They used to capture peacocks and tame them. And the word for peacock in Pali is more. More is the word for peacock in Pali language. So therefore, the word Maurya is from the word Maurya. And they also link the Mauryas with the Sakya clan of the Buddha. Lord Buddha belonged to the Sakya clan. He belonged to the Sakya clan. And Buddhist textbooks link the Mauryas with the Sakya clan of the Buddha. So they say that Mauryas also belong to the same clan as that of the Buddha. Right? Then, of course, yesterday I told you about another explanation as regards how the word Maurya has come about. And we have the story of Mura. So Mura was the concubine or the keep of the last Nanda king, Dhanananda. And she gave birth to her master, and that way she was able to gain her freedom or regain her freedom. So she gave birth to a son through her master, Dhanananda. And the word Maurya is from that word Mura. Chandragupta Maurya was called by that name, Chandragupta Maurya, after his mother's name, Mura. So this explanation seems very similar to what was given by Justin, that Chandragupta Maurya came from a humble origin or a humble background. To conclude, we can say that the Mauryas, that Chandragupta Maurya came from a simple background or a humble background, but to which caste they belong to, we don't know. Which caste the Mauryas belong to, we definitely don't know. So this is the origin of the Mauryas. I have discussed this yesterday. So, okay. Okay, fine, Bimre. I will. So, origin of the Mauryas, I have finished. Now, let us come to the sources for the study of the Mauryas. Various sources are there for the study of the Mauryas. These are literary sources. These are all literary sources. We have foreign accounts and indigenous literature. And apart from that, we have the edicts of Ashoka, which are basically archaeological sources. We'll first discuss the literary sources as regards the Mauryas, and then come to the edicts of Ashoka, okay, or the archaeological sources for the study of the Mauryas. First of all, let us talk about the literary sources. And among the literary sources, we have foreign accounts. A number of foreigners came to India during the Mauryan period. We have Greeks came, Romans came, Sinhalese, that is Sri Lankan Sinhalese. Sinhalese are the majority of the population of Sri Lanka. Majority of the population of Sri Lanka even now comprises Sinhalese. So Sri Lanka, another name for Sri Lanka is Sinhalese. Then of course Tibetan sources and Chinese sources. So we have a number of sources for the study of the Mauryas. So even these travelers came during the Mauryan Empire, and even much later after the Mauryan Empire had declined. And these Greek, Roman, Chinese, Sri Lankan travelers to India give us a lot of information about the Mauryan Empire, various aspects of the rule of the Mauryas, political, social, economic, etc. So I have made a chart for our convenience. It becomes easy to remember that way and also to discuss. So on your screen, right? So these are the various foreign sources for the study of the Mauryas, foreign authors. For example, we have Nearchus. You remember Nearchus, yesterday's class. Alexander divided his empire, his army into two parts. So when there was a rebellion, he was forced to turn back from India. So what he did is he divided his army into two parts, and one part of his army he kept under his commander Nearchus, and ordered Nearchus to take the sea route to Greece. Right. So this Nearchus, Alexander's commander, one of Alexander's general, tells us that Dharma Shastras in India were unwritten. The law books of India were unwritten and passed on orally. So that's what he says. This is number one. Then we have Indica of Megasthenes, a book called Indica written by Megasthenes. Now, who was this Megasthenes? I'll come to that in some time. He was an ambassador to the court of Chandragupta Maurya. He was an ambassador sent by Seleucus Nicator. Please understand, I'll come to that in some time in a detailed manner, we'll discuss. But as of now, just know this much, that Alexander had died, and one of his generals by name Seleucus Nicator fought with Chandragupta Maurya. Seleucus Nicator, one of the generals of Alexander, fought with Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya defeated Seleucus Nicator. And a peace treaty was signed between these two rulers, these two generals. And Seleucus Nicator sent an ambassador to the court of Chandragupta Maurya. His name was Megasthenes. And Megasthenes stayed in the Mauryan Empire. He stayed at Patliputra, and he wrote a book called Indica, not Indica. This Indica was lost. Over a period of time, it was lost. We don't know where the Indica went. The book called Indica went. But then many Greek and Roman scholars had read the Indica in its original version. And these Greek and Roman writers extensively quote from the Indica. They remembered what they had read from the Indica, and in their books, in their writing, they quote from the Indica. So we come to know many observations made by Megasthenes indirectly, right? Because Indica has been lost. From other Greek and Roman writers, we come to know indirectly about what Megasthenes had mentioned in the Indica. And we come to know that in many aspects, Megasthenes was wrong in his observations. He was looking at things from the eyes of a foreigner, right? He was looking at things from the eyes of a foreigner, and he mistook many aspects of Indian society, economy, etc. We will come to that in some time. So don't worry about that. So Megasthenes' Indica, that is another reliable source for the study of the Mauryas. He was a Greek. It is written in Greek language, the book Indica. It was written in Greek language. Then we have another scholar called Strabo, who writes a book called Geography. So he writes a book called Geography, Strabo. So he says that Chandragupta Maurya married Helena. Helena was the daughter of Seleucus Nicator. So Chandragupta Maurya defeated Alexander's general Seleucus Nicator and married his daughter by name Helena. So that information is given by Strabo in his book called Geography. Then we have an epitome, a book called Epitome written by Justine, another Greek writer. And he says that Chandragupta Maurya, he calls Chandragupta Maurya as Sandrakotas. Sandrakotas. So Sandrakotas defeated the generals of Alexander in the northwest portions of India, and that's what he says. So he captured all those areas after defeating the governors of Alexander, who had been appointed in the northwest portions of India. That information is given by Justine. Then we have another scholar by name Arian. He writes a book called Indica. Another book called Indica written by Arian, and he gives us the strength of the Nanda army. So he tells us that the Nanda army had 2 lakh infantry, a formidable force, 2 lakh infantry, 60,000 cavalry, 6,000 war elephants. So this information is given by the Greek writer Arian. Then we have Pliny's Natural History, another book called Natural History written by Pliny. And Pliny was a Roman writer who wrote in Latin language. He writes in Latin language, and Pliny gives us the strength of the Mauryan army. He says Mauryas had an army of 6 lakh infantry, 30,000 cavalry, 9,000 war elephants, and 8,000 chariots. So that was the strength of the Mauryan army, according to Pliny. Nearchus Akshara, yesterday's class, you remember, Alexander divided his army into two parts, and then one part of his army he sent through the sea route. That was Nearchus, under the command of Nearchus, and ordered Nearchus to mark all the harbors, potential harbors, on the map. Arian was not, he was only a writer. He was a Greek writer, Arian. Right? Okay. Then we come to Chinese accounts. Now you have the first Chinese traveler who came to India during the Gupta period, almost 600 years after the end of the Mauryan Empire. We have the first Chinese traveler, Fahian. Fahian came to India during the Gupta period. The Gupta king was, as you all know, Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. And Fahian gives us a lot of information about some of the monuments which belong to the Mauryan period. In fact, Fahian tells us that he saw the stone palace built by Ashoka. When I come to art and culture, I'll discuss about it. Fahian gives us information about Mauryan monuments. He says that he saw the stone palace built at Patliputra by Ashoka. And he said that probably it was made by spirits. Then we have another Chinese traveler, the second Chinese traveler to India, by name Hunsang. Hunsang came to India in the 7th century AD during the period of Harshavardhana. Harsha is considered to be the last great emperor of ancient India, Harshavardhana. Harshavardhan. So Hunsang came to India during his period, and Hunsang wrote a book called Siyuki. In that book, he tells us that Ashoka was converted to Buddhism by a boy monk called Upagupta. A 5-year-old boy monk called Upagupta was responsible for converting Ashoka to Buddhism. That information is given by Hunsang. Okay, right. Then we have the books of Sri Lanka. The books of Sri Lanka, such as Dvipa Vamsha, the Island Chronicle, Mahavamsha, the Great Chronicle, Kula Vamsha, Vamsatapakasini, etc. These are all the books of Sri Lanka. And Mahavamsha, one book called Mahavamsha, the Great Chronicle, tells us that Ashoka's children, Mahendra and Sangamitra, were responsible for introducing Buddhism in Sri Lanka. In fact, Ashoka sent two of his children to Sri Lanka with a sapling of the original peepal tree. Lord Buddha had sat under a peepal tree and he had attained nirvana, that is enlightenment. So a sapling from the original peepal tree was carried to Sri Lanka by two of the children of Ashoka by name Mahendra and Sangamitra, and they planted that sapling there in Sri Lanka. The descendant of that sapling is even now there. That has become the descendant of the sapling is even now found in Sri Lanka. And Buddhism was introduced into Sri Lanka by the children of Ashoka. So that is the information given by Mahavamsha. Then we have a Tibetan book called Divyavadana. Tibetan textbook called Divyavadana. It talks about Ashoka. It gives us an account of Ashoka. It is in Tibetan language. Are you there with me, all of you? So these are all the foreign literary sources for the study of the Mauryas. Can you please raise your hands? Bhimre, nothing to do with Ganapati Bappa Maurya. The name came from. No, jokes apart, Bhimre, there's no information about like that the name Maurya came from Ganapati Bappa Maurya. But Bhimre seems to be a very mischievous chap. But there's no evidence, Bhimre, as till now. Yeah, Deepshika, different religions will be covered. Who was Harshavardhana? Akshara Harshavardhana was the last great emperor of ancient India. And Hyun came to India during the period of Harshavardhana. Okay, last chapter of ancient India will be discussing Harshavardhana in detail. Don't worry. Akshara. Okay, now we'll come back here. These are the foreign sources. Now let us come to the indigenous sources for the study of the Mauryas. Indigenous sources, local writers, books written by local scholars. And among the indigenous sources, literary sources, the most important is the Arthashastra. The Arthashastra written by Kautilya, who is also called by other names like Chanakya and Vishnugupta. So these are the other names for Kautilya, that is Chanakya, Vishnugupta. Now we have the original manuscript of the Arthashastra found in a library in Mysore in the year 1905. In 1905, one of the buildings in Mysore in Karnataka, this building was dedicated by the Wadayar kings of Mysore. So there was a library here, okay, in Mysore called the Oriental Library. And there was one Sanskrit Pandit, Sanskrit scholar by name Rudraprana Shama Shastri. Rudraprana Shama Shastri. And you have a huge amount of palm leaf manuscripts. So a lot of palm leaf manuscripts were stored in that library, and he was sifting through it. And accidentally, our Shama Shastri came across the original manuscript of the Arthashastra. How it found its way there, we don't know. So it was discovered accidentally in the year 1905. And Shama Shastri went through this original manuscript of the Arthashastra. It is written in Sanskrit language. It is partly in prose and poems, and partly in verse and prose. It has 6,000 verses or poems. So it's partly in prose and verse. And it is divided to 15 parts, 180 subparts and 15 parts. So he went through this huge manuscript, which was written on palm leaves. And later he translated this particular manuscript into English language. Okay, and he copied, again on paper, because it was originally written on palm leaf manuscripts. So that is how the original copy of the Arthashastra was discovered accidentally by R. Shama Shastri, one of the Sanskrit Pandits in Mysore, in the Oriental Library, Mysore. In the Arthashastra, nowhere is it mentioned that Chanakya or Kautilya was the prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Nowhere it is mentioned. But then historians have come to the conclusion, because Kautilya gives so much of details of information, so much of details, of intricate details he gives about Mauryan administration. So because of the type of details he gives regarding Mauryan administration, historians presume that only a prime minister could have known so much of details. So therefore, it is a presumption that Chanakya or Kautilya was probably the prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya. And Kautilya is called Indian Machiavelli. He is called Indian Machiavelli. Now, who was this Machiavelli, original Machiavelli? Machiavelli was a Greek, he was an Italian scholar. He was an Italian scholar, Machiavelli, and he writes a book called The Prince. So Machiavelli belonged to the Renaissance era, around 14th, 15th century, Renaissance era. So in that book called The Prince, written by Machiavelli, Niccolo Machiavelli, his full name is Niccolo Machiavelli. He says that whatever the king does for the welfare of himself and his subjects, for his kingdom, whether it is even bad, doesn't matter. As far as his interest is secured, and that of his subjects, and that of his kingdom. So by hook or by crook, if the king is able to safeguard his own person as well as that of his kingdom and his people, then all those methods or means are justified. That's what he says. So here, the end justifies the mean. The end is important. That is the welfare of the kingdom and its subjects. That is more important. The means doesn't matter. So not necessary to always follow fair means. Even foul means is okay. So he justifies this in his book called The Prince. And Kautilya or Chanakya had a similar thought process in his Arthashastra. For him, the end mattered, the means did not matter. The end of the state, the aim, the ultimate objective of the state, of the king, that is to safeguard himself and that of his and his people and the kingdom. That was more important. So end justifies the means. Therefore, Kautilya is also called Indian Machiavelli. Are you there with me, all of you? Did you understand that? That part? Okay, now we come back here. No, I don't teach PSIR, Gunjan. Let's focus on the class, please. Then we come back here. Mudra Rakshasa. We have a book called Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakadatta in the Gupta period. Understand this. The small details become very relevant when the exam comes nearby. When you look at the choices given in the question paper, then this explanation becomes relevant. So don't allow your mind to go here and there. Just focus on the class. So we'll come back here. We have a book called Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakadatta. So Vishakadatta operated during the Gupta period. He functioned during the Gupta period. Vishakadatta. He writes a book called Mudra Rakshasa. Literally means the minister's signet ring. Mudra Rakshasa. Mudra Rakshasa. The minister, the signet ring. It literally means the signet ring. So here, the story goes, understand this. What is this Mudra Rakshasa? You all know. Understand this, please. You all know that Chandragupta Maurya, with the assistance of Chanakya, overthrew Dhanananda. So Dhanananda was killed. By Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya became the emperor. So according to the story called Mudra Rakshasa, Chandragupta Maurya took the help of a king called Malaya Ketu. He took the help of an ally of a king called Malay Ketu. And with the help of King Malay Ketu, Chandragupta Maurya is supposed to have killed Dhanananda. But this ally or friend Malay Ketu was not a reliable friend. Because once Chandragupta Maurya became the emperor, according to the story called Mudra Rakshasa, Malay Ketu joined hands with one of the ministers, the prime minister of Dhanananda, by name Rakshasa. So Rakshasa was the prime minister of Dhanananda. Okay, he was the prime minister of Dhanananda, this Rakshasa. So Malay Ketu joined hands with Rakshasa, and both of them wanted to overthrow Chandragupta Maurya. Malay Ketu wanted to become the king himself after overthrowing Chandragupta Maurya. So there was a selfish purpose as regards Malay Ketu joining Rakshasa. What was Rakshasa's intention of joining Malay Ketu? Rakshasa wanted to take revenge against Chandragupta Maurya because Chandragupta Maurya had killed his master. Rakshasa's master was Dhanananda, and Chandragupta Maurya had killed Dhanananda. So Rakshasa had a personal grievance against Chandragupta Maurya. He wanted to take revenge because he had killed his master. So both of them come together. That is Malay Ketu and Rakshasa. But Chanakya, who was the mentor of Chandragupta Maurya, wanted to win over Rakshasa to his side. He felt that though Rakshasa is an enemy, he has some qualities, very good qualities. He's a very capable person. So every friend, understand this, all, a king might have many friends, but those friends may not be talented. Understand the logic of Chanakya here. A king might have many friends, but most of his friends may not be talented. They are loyal, but they are not talented. And conversely, you could have the king could have enemies, and some of the enemies of the king might be very, very talented. So the objective of Chanakya is to win over Rakshasa to the side of Chandragupta Maurya. Right? Because Chanakya wants Rakshasa to become the prime minister or become the minister of Chandragupta Maurya. So this whole story revolves around this plot, Mudra Rakshasa. in that book called, did you understand this story? Hello, all of you, did you understand this? So every reliable friend may not be talented. Understand this. Every reliable friend may not be talented. And sometimes your enemy is more talented. He's not your friend, but he's more talented than many of your friends. So it would be in the interest of the king or the person sitting in that chair to also win over his enemy to his side, because that person has the talent which his friends don't have. Got it, na? So that's how it is. So Chanakya thinks like that. So here in this book called Mudra Rakshasa, we have the story of the so-called Mauryan Revolution. Understand this. I'll explain to you what is Mauryan Revolution. So we have the story of what is called the Mauryan Revolution. Now, what is this Mauryan Revolution? What does Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakadatta? Who's the author of Mudra Rakshasa? His name is Vishakadatta. Vishakadatta. And Vishakadatta writes Mudra Rakshasa during the Gupta period. Guptas ruled from approximately 275 to 550 AD. So around 5th century AD is supposed to be the Gupta period. So he writes this book during the Gupta period, Mudra Rakshasa, by Vishakadatta. So in this book, he talks about what is known as Mauryan Revolution. Now, what is this Mauryan Revolution? So he tells us, Vishakadatta tells us in this book called Mudra Rakshasa, that when Dhanananda was the king, understand this, when Dhanananda was the Mauryan, when Dhanananda was a Nanda king, there was a minister under Dhanananda. His name was Chanakya. Understand this. So when Dhanananda was the king, the Nanda king, there was a minister under him called Chanakya, or Vishnugupta, or Kautilya, same person. Now you all know, yesterday we have discussed about Alexander. Alexander came to the borders of India and he went back. There was a rebellion in his army and he went back. But many Greek soldiers and officers who had come along with Alexander did not go back along with him. They did not return back along with him. They stayed back in what is now called northern Afghanistan, or Bactria. They stayed back in northern Afghanistan. So these Greeks were staying very close to the Nanda boundary. So if this is the Nanda Empire, this is the Nanda Empire, this is the Nanda Empire. The Greeks were staying here. Okay, the Greeks were staying here, very close to the Nanda boundary. And Chanakya, who was a minister under Dhanananda, thought that these Greeks might later trouble or make trouble to the Nanda Empire. So I believe Chanakya, in an open court in front of the emperor Dhanananda and many ministers, he requested Dhanananda, his minister, Chanakya requested Dhanananda, please give me military help, give me an army, and I will drive away these Greeks from the border areas of the Nanda Empire. In front of everybody, Dhanananda, the king, is supposed to have insulted Chanakya. Everybody were laughing and making fun of Chanakya, and Chanakya felt very, very, slighted. He felt very insulted. So he is supposed to have resigned from the king's office. So he was the laughing stock at that point in time. So he resigned from the king's office and he went away. But then he took a grudge against Dhanananda. He took a firm decision in his mind that he will see that Dhanananda's rule ends. He would want to bring an end to the rule of the Nandas. So Chanakya later found a boy called Chandragupta. So Chanakya was from the city of Takshashila, and Takshashila was the capital of the Mahajanapada of Gandhara. So it was the capital of Gandhara. So Chanakya was a person from Takshashila, and Chandragupta Maurya was also from Takshashila. So he found a boy called Chandragupta Maurya. He saw a lot of promise in this boy. So Chanakya joined hands with Chandragupta Maurya. Chanakya used his brain, and Chandragupta Maurya his brawn, and secretly they built up an army. They organized an army, and according to the plan of Chanakya, Chandragupta Maurya began to attack the border areas of the Nanda Empire. One by one, he began to conquer the border areas of the Nanda Empire, and slowly he made his way to the capital city of Patliputra. And then he defeated and killed Dhanananda. Dhanananda was a very unpopular ruler already. So Chandragupta Maurya defeated and killed Dhanananda, and he established the Mauryan Empire. This is called Mauryan Revolution. The circumstances which led to the establishment of the Mauryan Empire by Chandragupta Maurya, how Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya plotted and then saw the end of the Nandas. This story is given in the Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakadatta. Are you there with me, all of you? Clear? This is called Mauryan Revolution. And this is found in this book called Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakadatta. Can you raise your hands? Can I move on? So you can see here on your screen the so-called Mauryan Revolution. Talks of the foundation of Mauryan Empire by Chandragupta Maurya and Chanakya after overthrowing the Nandas. Okay. Then we have the Harshatarita of Bana. Bana was the court poet of Harshavardhana. So Harshavardhana was a king in North India. He ruled from Sthaneshwar and later Kanauj in UP. Sthaneshwar in Haryana and later Kanauj in UP. We'll come to Harshavardhana later. So his court poet was Bana Bhatta. And Bana wrote a biography of Harsha called Harshatarita. So Harshatarita is the biography of Harsha written by his court poet Bana. So in this particular book called Harshatarita, Bana talks about the decline of the Mauryan Empire. He talks about the decline of the Mauryan Empire and he tells us that the last Mauryan emperor, Brihadratha, was assassinated by his own Senapati or commander-in-chief, Pushyamitra Sunga. So Pushyamitra Sunga, the last one of the commanders of the last king, Brihadratha, last Mauryan king was Brihadratha. He was very unpopular, and he had a commander, Senapati, commander-in-chief of the army, whose name was Pushyamitra Sunga. So he took advantage of the weak king Brihadratha, assassinated him, and ended the rule of the Mauryas and established the Sunga dynasty. That story is given in the Harshatarita, written by Bana Bhatta. Hello, are you there with me? Clear? Okay. So then we have the Rajatarangini. We have the Rajatarangini of Kalhana. So it talks about the history of Kashmir till the 12th century AD. From ancient times to the 12th century AD. This book, Rajatarangini, talks about the history of Kashmir. And it tells us that Mauryas ruled over Kashmir and Ashoka built the city of Srinagar. Mauryas ruled over Kashmir and Ashoka built the city of Srinagar. That detail is given in the Rajatarangini by Kalhana. Then we have the Puranas. Puranas are Brahminical sources, books written by Brahmanas, Brahminical sources. And they give the genealogy of the Mauryas. What is genealogy? The order of kings, for who was the founder, then first king, second king, third king, etc. So founder and other kings who came after the founder. That's called genealogy. And Mauryas are criticized by the Puranas as Shudras and unrighteous. Then we have the Jatakas, Buddhist books called Jatakas. Jatakas are basically the 550 previous lives of the Buddha. When I talk about Buddhism, Jainism in detail, we will discuss about Jatakas also. So Jatakas talk about the socio-economic conditions of the Mauryan Empire, the Mauryan society and economy. We come to know a lot of information from the Jatakas. And then, of course, we have a book called Parishishta Parvan, written by Hemachandra. Understand this? Parishishta Parvan, written by Hemachandra. Now, understand this. In 12th century AD, we have a dynasty which ruled over Gujarat, the Chalukyas of Gujarat. They're called the Chalukyas of Gujarat. Also called the Solankis. They're also called the Solankis. So they ruled in 12th century Gujarat. They were over Gujarat. And one of the kings of these Chalukyas of Gujarat was Jayasimha Siddharaja. Jayasimha Siddharaja. And this Jayasimha Siddharaja, King Jayasimha Siddharaja, had a minister under him. His name was Hemachandra. So when I come to early medieval India, I'll discuss about this personality called Hemachandra. So Hemachandra was a scholar, a Jain scholar in the court of Jayasimha Siddharaja. Hemachandra wrote many books like Neminacha Charitra, Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana, Parishishta Parvan, etc. He wrote many books, Hemachandra. In this book called Parishishta Parvan, he gives us the reasons for the division of the Jain Sangha into Digambar and Shwetambar. How Digambar and Shwetambar came into existence. In Jainism, as you know, you have two major sects. Digambars, that is, they don't wear any clothes, Digambars, and then Shwetambars wear white clothes. How this division in the Jain Sangha happened is found in this book called Parishishta Parva. And in this book, Hemachandra also tells us what led Chandragupta Maurya to South India. So he tells us, I'll come to that in some time. He tells us that certain circumstances led Chandragupta Maurya to South India. He comes to present-day Karnataka, to a place called Shravana Belagola. So in the present-day Hassan district of Karnataka, so there's a district in Karnataka called Hassan district. And in the Hassan district, we have a town called Shravana Belagola. Shravana Belgola. So Chandragupta Maurya, along with many Jain monks, came all the way to South India. He abdicated the throne, gave away the throne to his son Bindusar, and he also became a Digambar monk, Chandragupta Maurya. And then he comes to South India, to Karnataka, to this place called Shravana Belagola. He lived in Shravana Belagola for many years in a cave, meditating and doing other spiritual activities, and ultimately committed Sallekhana. What is Sallekhana? Voluntarily giving up food until one dies. This is the recommended Jain form of dying. Why do we all eat food? Because we want to survive, we want to live. When you voluntarily give up food until you die, that is called Sallekhana. And even nowadays, Jain monks and nuns die like this. Digambar Jain monks and nuns die like this, and that community, the Jain community, gives a lot of respect and regard to such people who die by committing Sallekhana. So Chandragupta Maurya committed Sallekhana and died here in Shravana Belagola. That information is given by Hemachandra in his book Parishishta Parvan. Yellow color on white. White, I'm not using that. Whatever the color is, this I'm using this on the dark background, Ankush. I thought it is very visible, very much visible. Yellow pen is not visible. Roshan, what about, can you give me a feedback, others? I'm not using yellow on the white background. All clear. Ankush, others are not having a problem. This is error for me. Yeah, the background is dark. That's why I'm using a brighter color. Shambhavi Ketan. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. We'll come back here. So these are the various, indigenous sources for the study of the Mauryas. Are you there with me, all of you? Clear, na? So all clear? So these are the various indigenous sources: Arthashastra of Kautilya, Harshatarita, Mudra Rakshasa, etc. So then probably Kautilya looked like this. Okay, then we have the edicts of Ashoka. Understand this? Edicts of Ashoka. So we have discussed the foreign literary sources, indigenous literary sources. Then let us come to the archaeological sources. And among the archaeological sources, the most important are the edicts of Ashoka. What are edicts? Edicts are royal orders. Edicts are royal orders. And edicts of Ashoka are found in the length and breadth of this country. They are inscribed on the surface of rocks, pillars, and caves. That's why they're called rock edicts, pillar edicts, and cave edicts. There are 181 edicts found in 47 locations. 181 edicts found in 47 locations. They are basically instructions to the people or to his officers, sometimes to his officers. So Ashoka got his royal orders written on the surface of rocks. Then he installed pillars, and then on those pillars he got it written. And then he got dug up caves. He ordered the construction of caves. So caves were dug up from the rocky, hilly cliffs, and on the walls of these caves he got some messages written. So these are called rock edicts, pillar edicts, and cave edicts. They are found in 3 languages. These edicts of Ashoka are found in 3 languages and 4 scripts. 3 languages and 4 scripts. So what are the 3 languages he uses? He uses Prakrit, Greek and Aramaic language. Prakrit, you can see here on your screen. So these are the rock edicts. You can see here on your screen. These are the rock edicts. So this has been inscribed on a boulder, an immovable boulder, which was already there. So he got it inscribed on that boulder. So these are called rock edicts. These are pillar edicts. So he installed pillars like this. Yesterday I've shown you the picture of a pillar, Ashokan pillar. So he installed pillar and he got his message written on those pillars. And then these are cave edicts. On the walls of caves, he got some messages written. And these are found in the length and breadth of India. You can see here on your screen. You have the map of India, and this is the distribution of Ashokan edicts: rock edicts, pillar edicts, cave edicts. And from wherever these edicts are found, from wherever these edicts have been found, we can come to know the extent of the Mauryan Empire, how big the Mauryan Empire was. We come to know the extent of the Mauryan Empire from the distribution of these edicts. Right now, they are found in 3 languages and 4 scripts. Understand this, please. So, what are the languages Ashoka uses? Prakrit, then Greek and Aramaic language. So, they are found in 3 languages and 4 scripts. That is Brahmi, Kharoshti, Greek, and Aramaic. So, 4 scripts are Brahmi, Kharoshti, Greek, and Aramaic. So, he uses okay. So he uses 3 languages: Prakrit, Greek, and Aramaic, and 4 scripts: Brahmi, Kharoshti, Greek, and Aramaic. Now, the question is, understand this, very simple. Why does Ashoka use different scripts in different places? We have seen totally he uses the 4 scripts: Brahmi, Kharoshti, Greek, and Aramaic. Now, imagine, let us take a hypothetical example. Let's take a hypothetical example. Let us say each one of you, wherever you're sitting, is Ashoka. Okay, let us say each one of you is Ashoka, and you want to convey something, some information to the people of Tamil Nadu, or let us say people of Maharashtra or Gujarat. Now, let's say Maharashtra. What language is the dominant language in Maharashtra nowadays? Marathi. So you will want to get your information, whatever you want to convey, written in Marathi language, Marathi script, Marathi language and script, so that maximum number of people can read and understand what you're trying to convey. Similarly, let's say Ashoka wants to convey some information to the people of Gujarat, present day Gujarat. So what script will he use? Obviously, whichever is the dominant script of that area. Whichever script people are able to maximum read and understand. He will use Gujarati script. So, depending upon which script was popular in that area, he uses that script. Okay. Lakhima, how is language different from script? Very good. You can use if you use your brain, you yourself can answer, Lakhima. Many languages don't have a script. Language is a medium of communication. For example, a baby will communicate to its mother and father, whatever is the dominant language, most spoken language in the house. Let us say the baby wants to drink milk or water. It will ask milk and water. Okay, it doesn't know how to read and write, but it knows that if it says a particular word, then the mother or father will understand. So that is language. Script is what you write. So many languages don't have a script. For example, many of the tribals of the Northeast, or for that matter, even in the Todas of Tamil Nadu, or the Kurgis of Karnataka. So Kurgis of Karnataka are supposedly scheduled tribes. They come under the tribal, they're tribes basically. They speak Kurgi language, but they write in Kannada. They don't have a script. They write in Kannada, but they speak Kurgi language. Similarly, many of the tribals in the Northeast don't have a script. They only speak a language. They don't have a script. So that is the difference between language and script. Okay. Script is what you write and language is what you speak. And of course, many of the languages also have a script. Most of the languages also have a script. That is the difference. Are you clear with me, Telia? All of you? Just Ankush, just hold on. I'll come to that. Just hold on. I'll come to that. Now, in most parts of India, understand this, in most parts of India, Ashoka uses one language and one script. In most parts of India. So that is the Brahmi script. Understand this here? He uses the Brahmi script and the Prakrit language. So in most parts of India, he uses the Prakrit language and the Brahmi script. Then in western parts of India, that is present-day Pakistan, western parts of India, he uses Prakrit language and Kharoshti script. So in the west, he uses Kharoshti script and Prakrit language. For example, edicts found in Manshera and Shahbazgadi in Pakistan. Edicts found in Manshera and Shahbazgadi in Pakistan, which is to the west of India. He uses Kharoshti script and Prakrit language. In the rest of India, he uses Brahmi script and Prakrit language. Then in the northwest, what is now called Afghanistan, northwest, he uses Greek and Aramaic language and Greek and Aramaic script. Okay, so it's a bilingual language and script. He uses a bilingual script, Greek and Aramaic language and Greek and Aramaic script in the northwest. Northwest, that is Kandahar. So in the northwest, he uses Greek and Aramaic language and script. Now, somebody asked me, who's this? Ankush. Why Ashoka used Greek language and script? Ankush, if you just think, you would have answered it yourself. If you just think, you would answer it yourself. You'll get the answer yourself. Who were living in parts of Afghanistan? Alexander had come and gone, and many of his soldiers and officers had settled down in northern Afghanistan. So they spoke Greek language and read the Greek script. That is the reason why he uses that. Yeah, you understand, Ankush. So you got the answer. So what we call a script, which we are not able to understand or not yet found. Not yet found, I don't know. What we are not able to understand, for example, Harappan script. Harappan script, we are not able to read. We have found it, but we are not able to read. That is an example, Gunjan. You know the answer. You just have to think, isn't it? Harappans had a script, but it is not yet deciphered. Okay. Are you there with me? So predominantly, what is the language and script Ashoka uses in his edicts? He uses the Prakrit language and Brahmi script. Almost all parts of India uses one language and one script. That is the Prakrit language and the Brahmi script. In the western part of India, he uses Kharoshti script and Prakrit language. That is in Manshera and Shahbazgadi of Pakistan. In the northwest, that is present-day Afghanistan, he uses bilingual language and bilingual script, Greek and Aramaic language and Greek and Aramaic script. Yeah, you're right, Lakima. Prakrit was the Desha Bhasha. Prakrit was the language of the masses. So he predominantly uses Prakrit language in India. Okay, let's move on. Then on your screen, the Brahmi script was deciphered by James Prinsep in the year 1837. So the Brahmi script was deciphered or decoded in the year 1837 by James Prinsep, an officer of the English East India Company. The Kharosthi script was deciphered by Norris. Brahmi and Greek scripts are written from left to right. So we all write from left to right, isn't it? That is the direction of writing. So Brahmi and Greek scripts are written from left to right, whereas Kharosthi and Aramaic is written from right to left. Kharosthi and Aramaic scripts are written from right to left, like the way Urdu is written. So Urdu is derived from Kharosthi script. Yesterday's class, you remember, I've told you. It is there, Deepshika. It was originally found in the Oriental Library, Mysore, by R. Shama Shastri. It is still preserved. It is still preserved. Okay. Now, understand this. Understand this, please. Nobody knew about Ashoka. Nobody knew about a king called Ashoka till the year 1915. Till the year 1915, nobody knew about a king called Ashoka. So, it was a mystery. And we all know that the Ashokan Brahmi script was deciphered in the year 1837. In 1837, Brahmi script was deciphered by James Prinsep. And when James Prinsep read the Brahmi script, and many of the scholars learned the script from James Prinsep, and they also read that script, the Brahmi script, they were astonished, they were surprised, and they were also confused about a king who was claiming himself to be Devanam Piya Piyadasi. Some king was calling himself Devanam Piya, and Piyadasi. For example, when they read the Brahmi script, some of the lines, Devanam Piya would like to say this. Piyadasi orders this way, or would like to say this way, etc. So this is how it was presented. And they were confused. Who was this person? Who was this king claiming himself to be Devanam Piya and Piyadasi? Devanam Piya, in Pali, Devanam Piya. In Sanskrit, it is Devanam Priya. Devanam Priya, beloved of the gods. Beloved of the gods. And to add to the confusion, about a dozen kings, more than a dozen kings in ancient India had taken the title Devanampiya. It was a general royal title of the period. And more than a dozen kings have called themselves Devanampiya. That is beloved of the gods. And then you also have this title called Piyadasi. Piyadasi means one who looks on auspiciousness. One who looks on auspiciousness. Or one who is dear to behold. One who is dear to behold. One who looks on auspiciousness, or one who is dear to behold. Piyadasi. Devanam Piya Piyadasi. Now, it was a mystery because some king was claiming himself to be Devanam Piya and Piyadasi. Finally, this mystery was solved in the year 1915. This mystery was solved in the year 1915 when at a place called Maski, in the Raichur district of Karnataka. In the Raichur district of Karnataka, an edict was found. This is called the Maski Minor Rock Edict number 1. So an edict was found at Maski in the Raichur district of Karnataka, and there in that edict, when that edict was read, for the first time, we have the word Ashoka mentioned. Ashoka Maharaja. Along with the words Devanampiya and Piyadasi. Now, once this was found, the Maski edict was found, where Ashoka uses his personal name Ashoka along with his titles Devanampiya and Piyadasi. Historians were able to pinpointedly or accurately point out that the person who was claiming himself to be Devanampiya and Piyadasi was none other than Ashoka. And this was substantiated by the or corroborated by the Sinhalese chronicles. The books of Sri Lanka, Deepavamsha, Mahavamsha, Kulavamsha, Vamsatapakasini, etc. In these books of Sri Lanka, we have Ashoka's personal name mentioned along with his titles Devanampiya and Piyadasi. So therefore, please understand, Ashoka was the personal name of Ashoka. Ashoka was his personal name. Piyadasi was the royal title. Piyadasi was the royal title which he had taken. And Devanampiya is Piyadasi was his official name. I'm sorry, just hold on. Piyadasi was his official name. Piyadasi was his official name. And Devanampiya was the general royal title of the period. Many kings had taken the title of Devanampiya, not necessarily only Ashoka. Did you understand? So Devanampiya or Devanampiya. Clear? So Ashoka was his personal name, Piyadasi was his official name, and Devanampiya was the royal title of the period. Now, the name Ashoka is found only at 4 places. Understand this. Among the edicts of Ashoka, we find the name Ashoka mentioned only at 4 places. Out of these 4 places, 3 are in Karnataka and 1 is in Madhya Pradesh. Now look here on your screen. So what are the places where we find Ashoka's personal name mentioned? We have Maski, Nittur, and Udegolam. Maski, Nittur, and Udegolam. These 3 are in Karnataka. And the 4th one is at a place called Gujjara in present-day Madhya Pradesh. Only in these 4 places, we have the personal name of Ashoka mentioned. That is Ashoka Maharaja. In all other places, we have his titles Devanampiya and Piyadasi mentioned. And a few years back, understand this, in the Kalaburgi district of Karnataka, at a village called Kanaganahalli, understand this? I'll use another page. At a village called Kanaganahalli. So Kanaganahalli in the Kalaburgi, that is Gulbarga district, Kalaburgi district of Karnataka, we found an edict of Ashoka where we have an inscription found along with the portrait of Ashoka. So Ashoka is shown along with his queens and attendants on a piece of rock, and there is a word called Ranyo Ashoka mentioned in that inscription. Ranyo means King Ashoka or Ranyo Ashoka. And UPSC immediately asked a question the next year in the prelims. I'll show you the picture also when we discuss the questions at the end of this topic. So this is another place where we have the personal name of Ashoka mentioned. So that makes it 4 places in Karnataka, not 3, but 4 places. Kanaganahalli becomes the 4th place. Did you get me? So Maski, Nittur, Udegulam in Karnataka, and of course one more, Kanaganahalli, where Ashoka also uses the word Ranyo Ashoka or King Ashoka. So 4 places in Karnataka, 1 in Madhya Pradesh, Gujjara in Madhya Pradesh. So totally 5 places we come across the personal name of Ashoka mentioned amongst his various edicts. Nittur, I'm not very sure. I think maybe Bellary. Just find out, Ubemare. You just have to Google, you'll come to know. They're in Karnataka. Nittur, if I'm right, is in Bellary district. Udegolam, I'm not very sure. Again, mostly northern parts of Karnataka. Bellary, that area, Gulbarga, Bellary, that area. Yeah, this portrait is there with his wives and attendants. Ankush. I'll show you the picture later. Are you there with me? Are you clear till here, all of you? So far, so good. Can I move on? Lot of things to cover. Can I move on? So you can see here on your screen. Just hold on. So in all his inscriptions, Ashoka is referred with his titles of Devanampiya and Piyadasi. Devanampiya means beloved of the gods, and Piyadasi, one who looks on auspiciousness, one who is dear to behold. And only at 4 places we have the personal name of Ashoka mentioned. Ashoka Maharaja. These places are Maski, Nittur, Udegalam in Karnataka and Gujjara in Madhya Pradesh. Right? Nittur, am I right, Bhimare? Nittur is in Bellary district, is it? You'll come to know. If you just Google, you'll come to know. Okay, we'll move on here. So look here, this is James Prinsep to the left of your screen. James Prinsep. James Prinsep. And this is the Ashokan Brahmi. You see here, Ashokan Brahmi. Deepshika, we have not found any Ashokan edict till now in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. How did you find Nittur in Ernakulam district? I don't understand. This may be another name. Nittur may be another name, Deepshika. Till now, we have not found any Ashokan edict in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so here, this is the Ashokan Brahmi. You can see here, you see here, I, etc. So this is the Ashokan Brahmi deciphered by James Prinsep. And this is the minor rock edict of Musky. You can see here, this is the minor rock edict of Musky, which was first read by James Prinsep, the minor rock edict. Akshara, this is the minor rock edict of Musky, right? And this is the Ashokan Brahmi. Devanampiya, you can see here, Devanampiya. So Ashokan edicts are found on rocks, okay, on rocks. They're called rock edicts. Then pillar edicts found on pillars and on the walls of caves, cave edicts. And these are divided into, understand this, rock and pillar edicts are divided into major and minor. Look here, rock and pillar edicts are divided into major and minor. Major rock edict, minor rock edict. Major pillar edict, minor pillar edict. Understand this, very simple. Major rock edict, minor rock edict. Major pillar edict, minor pillar edict. On what basis have historians divided it into major and minor? Depending upon the length of the content of these edicts. So why is it called rock edict? Because it has been inscribed on the surface of a boulder, a huge rock boulder. That's why it's called rock edict. If it has been inscribed on or written on a pillar, that's called pillar edict. Right? Now, how is this division of major and minor being made? Now, if there are 7, 8 lines, let us say Ashoka has tried to convey some information in about 7, 8 lines on the rock or pillar. It's called major rock edict or major pillar edict. Let's say in 1 or 2 lines, Ashoka has tried to convey some message. That's called minor rock edict or minor pillar edict. So depending upon the length of the content of these edicts, they have been divided into major and minor. Are you there with me? Okay, Nittur is in Tumkur and Udagalam is in Bellary. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, can I move on? Deepshika, the answer is that Nittur is in supposedly Tumkur district, I believe, and Udagalam is in Bellary district of Karnataka. Deepshika, are you there with me? Clear? Okay. So we'll come back here. Did you understand major and minor? Like major operation. So the doctor has made a long cut on somebody's body, right? That is called major operation. Minor operation is a small cut and a suture. So that's the difference, okay? Depending upon the length of the content of these edicts, divided into major and minor. Clear? Right. Now let us discuss the important rock edicts of Ashoka. Important rock edicts, important pillar edicts. I'm giving a lot of. I'm giving more more time on this. As you know, it's important. UPSC keeps on asking questions. Even in the state services, you have questions asked from this segment. Therefore, more time is being spent on this. Rock edicts. So obviously, this has been directly inscribed on a rock of a hill, directly written on a rock of a hill, and it is immovable. You cannot move it easily because it's a very huge boulder. And what are the important rock edicts? We have the Bhabru rock edict. Understand this on your screen? Bhabru rock edict found in West Bengal. Bhabru rock edict found in West Bengal. Now, please understand, we have the Kalinga War. You all know, you all heard about Ashoka and the Kalinga War, which was supposedly the turning point in his life. So he saw so much of death and destruction. It pained him. He had never seen so much of pain, death, destruction, and his heart melted. And overnight, we are told that he converted himself to Buddhism and gave up warfare. But then that's what the historians of yesteryears had told us, that overnight he converted himself to Buddhism. He gave up warfare and took to what is known as Dhamma. But then, with the discovery of the Bhabru rock edict in West Bengal, historians had to revise this opinion. It was not immediately after the Kalinga War that Ashoka converted himself to Buddhism. It was 2.5 years after the Kalinga War. 2.5 years after the Kalinga War, Ashoka converted himself to Buddhism. And this information is found in the Bhabru rock edict. And it also gives us Ashoka's allegiance to Buddhism, Ashoka's faith in Buddhism, or Ashoka's faith in Buddhism, allegiance to Buddhism. So he proclaimed the Trisaranyas. He uttered or proclaimed the Trisaranyas. What is Trisaranyas? This one. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. So the three Ratnas of Buddhism. So he muttered that or uttered that, the three Saranyas in the Bhabru rock edict. So we come to know that he had converted himself to Buddhism and he was showing his loyalty to that religion. That is in the Bhabru rock edict, found in West Bengal. Now look here on your screen. Allegiance is loyalty, Akshara. Allegiance is loyalty. Allegiance is loyalty or following strictly, faithfully the Buddhist faith or dharma. Okay. Then 14 major rock edicts. Understand this? 14 major rock edicts of Ashoka found at 8 places. Now look here. How do I show you? Let's say there's a huge boulder. Look here. Huge boulder. Okay. Huge boulders have been found at 8 places. And on each of these 8 boulders found at 8 places, so one huge boulder found at 8 different places. And on one single huge boulder, Ashoka has mentioned his 14 messages. These are called 14 major rock edicts. Message number 1, major rock edict number 1, major rock edict number 2, major rock edict number 3. So 1 to 14 messages. We'll discuss the messages in some time. Just hold on. So let's say there's a huge boulder and such boulders have been found at 8 places. And on all of these boulders, on a huge boulder, 14 messages have been mentioned by Ashoka. And such boulders are found at 8 places. Are you there with me? What are the 8 places? On your screen, Yarragudi in Andhra Pradesh, in the Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, Yarragudi. Then Sopara in Maharashtra, Girnar or Junagadh in Gujarat. Then Kalsi in Uttarakhand. 2 are in Orissa, Dhauli and Jaugada, these are in Orissa. And 2 are in Pakistan, Manshera and Shahbazgarh in Pakistan. So, on one huge rock boulder found at 8 places, Ashoka has mentioned his 14 messages. These are called 14 major rock edicts of Ashoka. Okay, did you understand? We'll come to that, Gunjan. Just hold on. So remember these places. Yerragudi in Andhra. So one is in Andhra, one is in Maharashtra, one is in Gujarat. Right? Then one is in Uttarakhand. Two are in Orissa and two are in Pakistan. Right? So remember these 8 places where major rock edicts of Ashoka have been found. And what are the messages? You see here on your screen, major rock edict number 1. What's the message he gives? Okay, he has got it written on those boulders. One boulder containing 14 messages. And such boulders are found at 8 places. So each of those boulders found at 8 places have those 14 messages. Did you understand? Each of those boulders found at 8 places have those 14 messages. A single large rock have 14 messages. Yes, Deepshika, you hit the bullseye. And such rock boulders are found at 8 places. समझ में आ गया ना? So imagine, I'll just use another, maybe, you see, imagine this is a rock. Okay, imagine this is a rock. Okay, and such rocks are found at 8 places. Such rocks are found at 8 places, and 14 messages have been inscribed on each one of those rocks. And such rocks are found at 8 places. Okay, 2 are in Orissa, 2 are in Pakistan, 1 in Maharashtra, 1 in Gujarat, 1 in Andhra, 1 in Uttarakhand. And what are the 14 messages mentioned on each of those rocks? Let us discuss that. Samajh mein aa gaya, all of you? Yeah, let us find out that. If another is discovered, then it will be added to the list of rock edicts. Okay. Roshan, you are not understood? Roshan? One huge boulder, and such huge boulders have been found at 8 places. And 14 messages have been carved on each of those boulders, found at 8 places. So Orissa mein 1 boulder has been found. Okay, 2 boulders have been found. Orissa. So we have 14 messages found on each of those boulders. 1 boulder has been found in Maharashtra. All the 14 messages are there on that one single boulder. 1 boulder has been found in Gujarat at Junagadh or Girnar. So 14 messages are found on that rock boulder. Did you understand, Roshan? Yes. If another discovered, then it will be added to the list of rock edicts. Yes, you are right, Ankush. Now we'll come back here. Look at the 14 major rock edicts of Ashoka, the messages which he gives. Major rock edict number 1 on your screen. Major rock edict number 1. Prohibition of animal sacrifices and festive gatherings. So Gunjan, you understand this? I'll answer your question, just hold on. But let us discuss this. He prohibits animal sacrifices and festive gatherings. So initially Ashoka was a non-vegetarian. Gradually, he reduced the intake of non-vegetarian, intake of meat, and he limited the number of animals and birds which were killed in the royal kitchen to feed him. Right? So then he became totally vegetarian. So he prohibits animal sacrifices and festive gatherings. So when you have festivals, you celebrate it at a private level, he says. Don't go around celebrating in on a grand scale, on a public scale. You keep it limited to your private celebrations. That's what he says. This is to see that others don't feel bad. You are celebrating your festival in a grand manner, and you might unconsciously hurt other people's sentiments. You celebrate your festival, but keep it at a very private level. That's what he says. So prohibition of animal sacrifices and festive gatherings. Number 2 on your screen. Number 2, major occurring number 2. He talks about welfare measures like planting trees, building hospitals, dharmashalas, etc. So road construction, digging tanks, planting saplings. Then he also mentions the southern kingdoms, the southern contemporary kingdoms of Ashoka. Like, for example, the Cholas, Pandyas, Keralaputra, that is Cheras, and Tamraparni, Sri Lanka. The Cholas, Pandyas, Cheras. Cheras are called Keralaputra and Tamraparni, Sri Lanka. So he also mentions the southern kingdoms which existed during his period. Third major rock edict. What is the third message he gives? Respect to Brahmanas and Shramanas. Shramanas are monks of heterodox religions, monks of Buddhism, Jainism, Charvak, Lokayata, etc., Ajivika sect. So there were many Shramanas, that is wandering ascetics. So he says people should show respect to Brahmanas and Shramanas. So that answers your question, Gunjan, right? That answers your question. He was not against Brahmanas or anybody. He asked people to show respect to Brahmanas and Shramanas. Then number 4, he preaches non-violence. And he says he would like the sound of war drums to be replaced by the sound of Dhamma. Bheri Gosha. So when a king goes to war, you have the war drums played because the army is marching. The king is also marching along with the army, and they're all going out for war. He says, I would like the sound of war drums to be replaced by the sound of Dhamma. So Bheri Gosha to be replaced by Dhamma Gosha. Then number 5, humane and kind treatment of slaves. He calls upon people to treat slaves in a humane manner. Okay, in a humane manner, as a human being, not as an animal. So treat your slaves kindly in a humane manner. Then he talks about Dhamma Mahamattas, to propagate Dhamma. So Ashoka established a class of officers who came to be called Dhamma Mattaras. So their duty was to spread Dhamma. I'll come to Dhamma in some time. What is Dhamma, etc. In Pali, Dhamma. In Sanskrit, Dharma. So he created a class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattaras to spread or propagate Dhamma. And then emperor used to pardon prisoners for good behavior on his coronation anniversary. So on the day he was coronated king, on that day he used to release many prisoners who were serving various terms of punishment on the grounds of good behavior, that they have been good and they'll be good human beings even after their release. On that ground, he would release them. Number 6, all people are my children, and talks about public welfare. He says, just as I treat my children, I would like to treat my subjects also on a similar manner. So therefore, he says, all people are my children. And also he talks about public welfare. This is number 6. Number 7, tolerance to each other's religions. He says, be tolerant towards each other's religions. That way, your own religion will be great. You be tolerant towards others' religion. That way, your own religion will be great. And we can say that Ashoka's Dhamma is even now relevant. Even now, after thousands of years, Ashoka's Dhamma is even now relevant because there is so much of intolerance in our society. If you observe nowadays, there's so much of intolerance. And we are a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious country. And therefore, in the interest of our country, we need to maintain tolerance towards each other's religions. Live and let live policy. So Ashoka's Dhamma is even more relevant. Number 8, he took up Dhamma Yatras in place of Vihara Yatras. That is, he would like to take, he said he would like to take, take up Dhamma Yatras. That is, Yatras of Dhamma, to spread Dhamma, than Vihara Yatra. Vihara means pleasure tours. Instead of pleasure tours, Vihara. Instead of pleasure tours, he would like to take up Dhamma tours, tours of Dhamma, tours to spread Dhamma. Fifth one, just hold on. Akshara, fifth one is what? Akshara, fifth message is humane and kind treatment of slaves. So he says, treat your slaves in a humane manner, in a kind manner. So slavery as an institution existed during the Mauryan period. And he calls upon the people to treat the slaves in a very humane manner. And he created a class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattaras to spread Dhamma. Okay, did you understand? Akshara. Yeah, this was after the Kalinga War, Deepshika. Obviously, this was after the Kalinga War. Obviously, after the Kalinga War, not before that. Kalinga War was a turning point in his life. Okay. Then number 9, people to discontinue rituals, sacrifices, and follow Dhamma. So calls upon people to discontinue rituals, sacrifices, and follow Dhamma. Then number 10, he defines Dhamma as freedom from evil. You stop doing evil, and that is equal to Dhamma, he says. So, he defines Dhamma as freedom from evil. Once you stop doing evil or thinking evil and doing evil, that is equal to Dhamma, according to Ashoka. Then Dhamma is elaborated, discussed in Major Architect number 11. Number 12, he orders the people to live in harmony and peaceful coexistence. He orders the people to live in harmony and peaceful coexistence. Then number 13, Major Architect number 13. Out of the 14 Major Architects, this is the lengthiest. This is the lengthiest of the Major Architects. And Ashoka talks about the Kalinga War in this Major Architect. I'll come to Kalinga War in some time. So Ashoka talks about the Kalinga War, and he also mentions the southern kingdoms again. Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. He again mentions that. So he mentions about Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas in the Major Architect number 2 and also in the Major Architect number 13. And apart from the southern kingdoms, he also mentions the contemporary Greek kingdoms. Contemporary Greek kingdoms which existed during the time of Ashoka. And probably we can presume that Ashoka had diplomatic and cultural contacts with these kingdoms. So what are the kingdoms mentioned in Major Architect number 13? The Greek kingdoms. On your screen. Antiochus II, Theos of Syria. Antiochus II, Theos of Syria. Ptolemy II, Philadelphus of Egypt. Antigonus Gonatas of Macedonia. Alexander of Epirus, that is Greece. And Magas of Cyrene or Libya. These are the 5 contemporary Greek kings. 5 contemporary Greek kings mentioned by Ashoka. And then lastly, Major Architect number 14. So he calls upon his officers to engrave all these edicts on the rocks. Whatever 13 messages he has given, in the 14th Major Architect, he tells, you see that all this is engraved properly on rock boulders. So these are the 14 Major Architects of Ashoka. Are they with me? So on one single boulder, all these 14 messages are inscribed. And such boulders are found at 8 places. And did you understand? On one single boulder, all these 14 messages, 1 to 14, have been inscribed, and such boulders are found at 8 places. Are you there with me? Ankush, so he orders his officers to see that all these messages are engraved on the surface of rocks. That is the 14th message he is given. Orders that all the above edicts be engraved on rocks. No, nothing like that, Gunjan. Nothing like that. Because these messages disrupt Brahmin livelihood. No, nothing like that. He was not propagating Buddhism or, for that matter, Jainism, etc. He is talking about let and live, live and let live policy. You see here, look at the messages of Ashoka, tolerance to each other's religions. He is recommending tolerance to each other's religions, right? Then he orders the people to live in harmony and peaceful coexistence. Nowhere he is telling you convert yourself to Buddhism. No, he is not telling that. Then he is also telling show respect to Brahmanas and Shramanas. He is telling people to show respect to Brahmanas and Shramanas. So here, Ashoka was talking about peace and amity. So don't interpret it in a wrong manner. Did you understand, Gunjan? Okay, we'll come back here. 14th is just an order asking people, all his officers to engrave all the first 13 messages on the rocks. Right, we'll come back here. Bhimre, did you understand? Then let us talk about the pillar edicts of Ashoka. So 14 major rock edicts I've discussed. Let us talk about the pillar edicts. Pillar edicts of Ashoka. So again, they contain royal messages, these pillar edicts, and they're found in the middle of habitations. pillar edicts are found in the middle of habitations. Now, what are the important pillar edicts? On your screen, 3 are found in Bihar. Rampurva in Bihar, Lauria Nandangad, Bihar, Lauria Araraj, Bihar. So first 3 are found in Bihar. Then Kaushambi, Allahabad. Understand this? I'll explain that in some time. Just hold on. Kaushambi, Allahabad. Then Rumindai or Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha. Delhi, Meerut, Delhi, Topra. These are the pillar edicts of Ashoka, found at 7 places. 3 are in Bihar, 1 is in Allahabad, then Lumbini, then Delhi, Meerut, Delhi, Topra. Both are found in Delhi. Understand this. Now, this is the Lauria Nandangad pillar, supposed to be the most beautiful pillar where you have a single lion. Lauria Nandangad pillar in Bihar. Now, I'll use my thermoflask. Look here. Understand this. So this is the Ashokan pillar. Okay, let's imagine this is the Ashokan pillar. So there was an Ashokan pillar at Kaushambi in Uttar Pradesh. Understand this. So Kaushambi in UP. Originally, it was found there in UP, where Kaushambi. And Ashoka had got some messages, inscribed on this pillar, which was originally at Kaushambi. Okay, so this pillar was installed and found at Kaushambi in UP, in Uttar Pradesh. And Ashoka had got something written here, some messages written here. Now, later in our history, we have the Guptas who come to power. And the greatest of the Gupta kings was Samudragupta. Greatest Gupta king was Samudragupta. He was a great warrior. We'll come to Guptas later when we do Gupta period. He's supposed to have conquered the whole of India. Almost the whole of India he conquered. Who? Samudragupta. And Samudragupta had a minister. His name was Harisena. Samudragupta had a minister called Harisena. And Harisena wanted to tell the people of the world how great a conqueror his master Samudragupta was. He wanted to convey to the people of the world how great a conqueror his master Samudragupta was. So what he did was, this Ashokan pillar was standing at Kaushambi and some space was there below it. So he conveniently used that space to inscribe the military achievements of Samudragupta. Who is Harisena, minister of Samudragupta. Did you get me? So this pillar was there standing at Kaushambi. Ashoka had got something written here, some messages written here. Some space was there below. So Samudragupta's minister Harisena got the military achievements of Samudragupta inscribed on this Ashokan pillar. Later in our history, this Ashokan pillar was shifted from Kaushambi to Allahabad. Allahabad in UP again, now called Prayagraj, isn't it? The BJP government has named it Prayagraj. So earlier Allahabad. So it was originally at Kaushambi. Now it is found at Allahabad or Prayagraj. Who shifted the pillar from Kaushambi to Allahabad? Supposedly Jahangir. Akbar's son Jahangir shifted this Ashokan pillar from Kaushambi to Allahabad. And Jahangir also in Persian language has got something written on this Ashokan pillar. So that's why it's called Kaushambi Allahabad. You see here on your screen, Kaushambi Allahabad. Are you there with me, all of you? Can you raise your hands? Do you understand? So this Ashokan pillar is now found at Allahabad. Originally it was found at Kaushambi, but now found at Allahabad. So it has the inscription of 3 kings. What are the 3 kings you can mention? It has the messages of 3 kings. Number 1, who? Who are the 3 kings? Can you mention? Ashoka, very good, Lagima. Second, Samudragupta. Second is Samudragupta. Third is Jahangir. So it has the messages of 3 kings, Ashoka, Samudragupta, and Jahangir. Okay, did you get me? So now it's called Allahabad Kosam pillar. Allahabad Kaushambi pillar. Ashoka, Samudragupta, and Jahangir. Right. Then we have, you can see here, this is the Allahabad pillar inscription found at Allahabad. Ashokan pillar found at Allahabad. Now at Allahabad. Earlier it was found at Kaushambi. Then Ashoka visited Lumbini in his 21st year. So here, look here. Ashoka visited Lumbini, what is Lumbini? Lumbini is the birthplace of the Buddha, birthplace of Lord Buddha. And Ashoka visited Lumbini in his 21st year, 21st regnal year. 21st regnal year is 21 years since he came to power. 21st regnal year, REGNAL. Regnal means 21 years since he came to power. So visits Lumbini, which is now in Nepal. And once he visits Lumbini, what did Ashoka do? He installed one pillar. He installed one pillar there at Lumbini, and he reduced the tax payable by the people of Lumbini to 1/8. He reduced the tax payable by the people of Lumbini to 1/8. So he wanted to mark the nativity of the Buddha. He wanted to tell the people of the world that Lord Buddha was born here at Lumbini. So he installed one pillar there, and then he got some messages inscribed on that pillar, wherein he says that he is asking the people of Lumbini to pay only 1/8 tax. So he gave a tax concession to the people of Lumbini. So in other words, the Rumindai, this is also called Rumindai pillar inscription. Another name for Lumbini is Rumindi. So this is the only Mauryan inscription which makes a specific reference to taxation. Only inscription which makes a specific reference to taxation. There's no capital. Just one, there's no capital on top of the Allahabad pillar. We'll come to that. When I do art and culture, we'll speak about it. Okay, thank you, Kumara. We'll come back here. Only Mauryan inscription. Only Mauryan inscription. Okay, only Mauryan inscription which makes a specific reference to taxation, Mauryan taxation. That is the Rumindai pillar inscription. So far, so good. Now look here. So this is the Rumindai inscription. On your screen, you can see the picture of the Rumindai inscription. So Ashoka has got something written in on this particular pillar at Lumbini, which is also called Rumindai inscription. Now look here. We have another pillar which has been called Delhi Meerut, Delhi Topra. On your screen, you can see here Delhi Meerut. Delhi Meerut, Delhi Topra. Now, what is this Delhi Meerut, Delhi Topra? Again, I'll use my flask. Look here. There was one Tughlaq king. You all know his name. His name was Firuz Shah Tughlaq. Firuz Shah Tughlaq. And Firuz Shah Tughlaq was building a city. In fact, this is the 5th city of Delhi. He called it Firuzabad. Firuzabad. He wanted to beautify Firuzabad. So you see the Delhi Sultans and the Mughals built 7 cities of Delhi. We have Mehroli built by Qutbuddin Aibak. I'll come to that when I do medieval India, so don't worry. Mehroli or Lal Kot built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Then Siri was built by Alauddin Khalji. Tughlaqabad, the 3rd city built by Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq, the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. Jahanpana, built by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the 4th city. Firuzabad, built by Firuz Shah Tughlaq. And 2 more were built by the Mughals, Deenpana by Humayun and Shahjahanabad by Shah Jahan. Now, the 5th city of Delhi was Firuzabad, which was built by Firuz Shah Tughlaq. And Firuz Shah Tughlaq wanted to beautify his new capital city, Firuzabad. There were 2 Ashokan pillars, one in Meerut in UP and another Topra in Haryana. So there was one pillar at Meerut in UP, and another Ashokan pillar was there at Topra in Haryana. So what Firuz Shah Tughlaq did is, he got these pillars shifted from Meerut to Delhi. So from UP, Meerut to Delhi, it was shifted, and he installed that in Firuzabad. And again, from Topra, which was where there was another Ashokan pillar, he shifted it to Delhi. And that is why it is called Delhi Topra, Delhi Meerut. Did you understand? Delhi Meerut, Delhi Topra. Originally at Meerut and originally at Topra, but now found in Delhi. Did you understand? So you can see here on your screen, Delhi Topra, Delhi Meerut. That's why it's called Delhi Topra, Delhi Meerut. Originally found at Topra and Meerut respectively, but now found in Delhi. Pihu, your question is not very clear. How are we able to understand the language? What language you're talking about? So you can see here, Allahabad. It is now found in Allahabad, originally found at Kaushambi. And the Allahabad inscription, the Allahabad pillar has the inscriptions of three kings, Ashoka, then Samudragupta and Jahangir. Then Delhi Topra, Delhi Meerut, shifted to Delhi by Firuz Shah Tughlaq. And Rumindai, that is the birthplace of the Buddha, Lumbini. This is the only Mauryan inscription which makes a specific reference to Mauryan taxation. People of Lumbini were asked to pay only 1/8 the tax by Ashoka. And he visited Lumbini in his 21st regnal year. Jaswant, how Brahmi was deciphered. I already discussed that. Brahmi was deciphered by James Prinsep. How we did it, don't ask me. I also don't know. A special brain. Deepshika, I will discuss about Ashokan pillars later. It's a monolithic pillar. The capital is different. Capital has three subparts, but the pillar is a monolithic pillar, unlike Persian pillars, which were joined to each other. I'll discuss about pillars, architecture, etc. as part of art and architecture. I will not discuss about Mauryan art and architecture is a separate topic. I'll discuss this as part of art and architecture. Okay? Not Regani year, Baba. Regnal year. Bhimre, Regnal. Regnal means since he came to power. 21st regnal year. 21 years since he came to power. So he had come to power 21 years back. Okay, in the 21st year of his reign, he visited Lumbini, Ashoka, the birthplace of the Buddha. Clear? Okay, so these are the important pillar inscriptions, pillar edicts. Then we come to cave edicts. Now look here. We have only one cave edict of Ashoka. This is found in the Bara hills in Bihar. In the Bara hills. So you have a hill called Barabar Hills in Bihar. Ashoka dug up 4 caves. He ordered the construction of 4 caves. So you have a hill called the Barabara Hill. So 4 caves were hewn out or dug up from the Barabara Hills. And he donated these caves to the Ajivika monks. So there was a sect called Ajivika sect. So when I discuss Buddhism, Jainism, etc., I will speak to you who these Ajivikas were. Ajivika sect. So he dug up 4 caves and donated these caves for the residential purposes of these Ajivika monks. So these are the vihara. These are viharas. Vihara means monastery. So it served the purpose of a monastery. So monks generally used to live in secluded places. So therefore, far away from the town and city in the Barabara hills, 4 caves were dug up, and he donated them to the residential purposes of these Ajivika monks. And he gave names to these caves. Sudama, Lomas Rishi, Karna Chopar, and Vishwachompri or Vishwakarma. So these are the names of the caves. Sudama, Lomas Rishi, Karna Chopar, and Vishwakarma. So 4 caves were dug up by Ashoka. This is the earliest example of rock cut architecture. The Barabara caves are the earliest example of rock cut cave architecture. Please make a note of that. These are the earliest rock cut caves in India. Barabara caves are the earliest rock cut caves in India. and 4 caves were dug up by Ashoka and he donated them to the Ajivika monks. And then, of course, in the nearby Nagarjuni Hills, so very near to the Barabara Hills, we have another hill called Nagarjuni Hill. There, in the Nagarjuni Hills, 3 caves were hewn out by Ashoka's grandson Dasharatha, and he donated these 3 caves to the Ajivika monks. These caves are Gopika, Vadati, and Vapya. Gave the names of these caves as Gopika, Vadati, and Vapya. Clear? Again, they were donated to the Ajivika monks. And in the Nagarjuni cave inscription, so at the entrance of these caves in the Nagarjuni Hills, we have an inscription. In that inscription, Dasharatha, Ashoka's grandson, calls himself as Devanampiya. In fact, he is the only Maurya after Ashoka to call himself as Devanampiya. Did you understand? Ashoka's grandson, Dasharatha, calls himself as Devanampiya. In the Nagarjuni hill cave inscription. In the Nagarjuni hill cave inscription. So he is the only Ashokan, he is the only Mauryan king after Ashoka to take the title of Devanampiya, beloved of the gods. Rock cut is rock cut. How do I explain this, Bhimre? Rock cut, you cut a cave from the rock. That's rock cut cave. You cut a rock, like you cut a cake and eat like that. You cut a rock and make a cave out of the hilly cliffs of a rocky hill, the cliffs of the rocky hill. Ram, you have joined late. He is asking me, Devanampiya means what? Devanampiya is beloved of the gods. Ram, you have come late. I know that. I can understand that. Ketan wants a break. Just hold on, Ketan. Did you understand? Cavidics. Are you clear? Rock cut cave. Did you understand? Bhimre. Clear? Okay. Sir, would caves exist naturally or they were man-made? Pihu, I just now told you, they were dug up. So they were not man-made caves. They were not natural caves. They were man-made caves. So there was a rocky hill and like rats, burrow a hole in the ground. Like that, human beings have carved out a cave, scooped out a cave from the rocky hilly cliff. Did you understand? Pihu. Ankush, sir, any king could take title of the Devanampiya or any special qualification to take those titles? You don't require any qualification to take any titles. They felt like taking, they took it. Okay, so look at the entrance of the Barabara caves. This is the entrance to the Barabara caves in Bihar. You see, you have a beautiful arch here. You can see this. There's an arch here. There's an arch, the design of an arch. Okay, and again you have another arch here. So please understand, arch has a design existed in ancient India only. It was not that arch was introduced by the Turco-Afghans. In medieval India, early medieval India, Delhi Sultanate was established. Many mosques and dargahs came to be built. Tombs, mausoleums, and masjids came to be built. And the Turkish architects used arch, and then they introduced also dome, arch and dome. Arch was known to the ancient Indians, as you can see here on the screen, on your screen, right? But this design had been lost. People had forgotten about this arch design. It was reintroduced by the Turks. It was not that they were the first to introduce arch. Arch was known to the ancient Indians. And the example is this, the entrance of the Barabara caves. Okay, now keep that in mind. We'll come back when we do art and architecture later. Then this is the entrance to the Nagarjuni caves. These are the entrance to the Nagarjuni caves. You can see here, these are the entrance. This is the entrance to the Nagarjuni caves in Bihar. Then we have other inscriptions, which also give information about the Mauryas. On your screen, we have other inscriptions. For example, the Priyadasi inscription found at Takshashila. Takshashila is in Pakistan. So Priyadashini inscription found at Taxila. Taxila is in Pakistan. Then a fragmentary inscription found at Lampaka, that is Lagman, not Lamgan. This is spelling is wrong here. Please make the correction. It is Lagman, Laghman, in Afghanistan. Lagman in Afghanistan, so or Lampaka. So fragmentary inscription found at Lagman in Afghanistan. There is Sohagaura inscription in the Gorakhpur district of UP, Sohagaura inscription, and the Mahastan inscription in UP. Again, these two talk about famine relief measures undertaken by the government of Chandragupta Maurya. I'll come to that in later. Sohagaura inscription found in UP, copper plate inscription, and Mahastan inscription again in UP. Then Nagarjuna Hill Cave inscription in Bihar, and Junagadh rock inscription of Rudradaman of Gujarat, found in Gujarat. All these inscriptions also give us a lot of information about the Mauryas. Gunjan is saying it's very vast. How to remember all this? Revise. You want me to give less information? If you want me to give less information, I can give you. From next class, I can give you less information so that you're happy, I'm happy. So what about others? I can tailor make the classes like that. And then, but then, I'll not be satisfied, and I'm sure you'll not be satisfied. So I'm trying to cover as broadly as possible. You go back and read the textbook, you'll get some more information. But then you can use my class and these PPTs as the base. So I would say 80% of the information is there in my PPT. 80% is there, or maybe a little lesser. The rest of the information, let us say 25% extra information, you read your textbook, one textbook for ancient India, one textbook for medieval India you read, and whatever you feel is important, you add it to your notes. That should be your complete preparation. Okay, right? No, I was just joking. Don't take me seriously. I was only joking because I'll not be happy. My conscience will not permit me to do, this is the way I teach. So some people might find it very vast and boring, but I cannot help it. But that's how it is. UPSC exam is a vast exam, as you can see. So revise, please revise, then things will become easy. And try to learn history, recollect history like a story. If you recollect history, remember history like a story, then you'll not be bored and you'll not forget also. Okay, these are other inscriptions. And this is the predominant pottery of the period, northern black polished ware. So remember the pottery of the Harappans, black on red ware. Harappan pottery is called black on red ware. Vedic period pottery, painted grey ware, PGW. And then pre-Maurya and Mauryan period pottery, northern black polished ware. Northern black polished ware. Shruti says we are not even delivered our books. That is a separate department, Shruti. You don't wait for them. They will send you the books. You pick up one book and read, or borrow from your friend and read, or go to a library and pick up a book and read. So don't waste your time. You keep reading because exam is not very far away. Okay, very good, Ankush. Okay. Yeah, so some things are not in my sphere, some things are not in my hand. I'm only a teacher. I've been asked to teach. Rest of the things I don't know. But what I can do is, if you send me a mail, I can forward it to the concerned people. That's the least I can do. I cannot promise you anything, nor can I speak on their behalf. It's a separate department. Okay, so we'll take a small break here. Then I'll start with political history. You take a 15 minutes break and come back. Now it is 6:55. We meet at 7:10. 7:10 p.m. We meet after a break of 15 minutes. Okay, you take a 15 minutes break and come back. 7:10 p.m. we meet. Sharp. Carry on. Yeah, all of you. 7:10 p.m. Clear? 15 minutes break. Okay, good evening. Good evening once again. Yeah, good evening. Good evening once again. Roshan, what's your problem? As the exam is approaching, I'm feeling very scared. What should I do for this? Please let me know. What about others? Exam is coming nearby. That is natural feeling, Roshan. It's natural to feel scared. That means you're a serious student. If you're not serious, you wouldn't have felt scared, isn't it? So what you need to do is just just be very confident that whatever effort you put in all these months will pay off. Everybody is in the same boat as you. Understand this? Everybody is in the same boat as you, and try to stay in the moment. Don't worry about the future. Don't think of what is going to happen tomorrow and what has happened in the past. Try to be in the moment and try to make the best use of it. And then and when you're reading, write down, keep writing down, not every sentence, but then the words here and there, keep jotting down the words when you're reading. So you're forcing your mind to be in the moment. Understand this? It's a very simple remedy I'm giving you. When you're reading, instead of just reading, you keep a pen and a paper with you and keep jotting down the words, one or two words, so that you're forcing your attention on what you're reading. Right? If you're only reading like how retired people read newspapers, if you're reading like that, then the mind can go here and there. You understand? If the exam is very nearby, then obviously everybody will be tensed up. That's a natural feeling. So just calm down. Learn to calm down, meditate, do deep breathing, and then just remember that this is not the end of the road. Everybody is in the same boat as you are. You also had the same amount of time as others had. If you have utilized the time properly, okay, if you utilize the time properly without wasting your time, then you should not feel guilty. So what is in your hands is the time and the effort. Nothing else is in your hand. The result is in nobody's hand. So do what Lord Krishna has told in the Bhagavad Gita. Do your duty and don't be attached to the results, because the results are not in your hand. You understand? So it's natural to feel tensed up. Everybody feels tensed up, right? But then at that moment, what is the best you can do? You do that, right? And what is necessary to do, you do that. Don't get worked up, okay? And just count your blessings and remember whatever effort you put in, it is going to pay you off. You just have that confidence. Sometimes what happens is when you're tensed up, you make silly mistakes, and that is another drawback. So it is just a part of your life. It is not life per se. You have so many exams to go. Your mains is there, interview is there. So it is a natural feeling for everybody, right? So you learn to enjoy that feeling and try to do the best. Hemil, I will ask the concerned people to talk to you. I have taken down your phone number. I'm only a teacher. Beyond that I cannot do much. But then I have forwarded your mail to the concerned people, and I'll forward your phone number also to the concerned people. Okay, so we'll come back here. Roshan, your college exam is also coming on 25th May. Roshan, you have to be very, you manage your time properly, and all those months, whatever months you put in, we will talk about it. This is not the forum to speak about specifically about you. We'll be talking about the class, about the syllabus, about the exam. So all those things we'll discuss later. You just mail me. We'll see whether we can discuss over mail all these things. So let me come back to the chapter as such. So let us talk about the political history. So personal questions, I'm not going to answer, Shailaja. I'm only a teacher. I'm doing my job. So don't bother about about my past. It's a dead thing. Just focus on the chapter now. We'll come back here. Maybe in another fora, I can answer all your doubts. We'll come back here. Political history. We'll discuss this. Chandragupta Maurya, then his son Bindusar, then Ashoka, and later Mauryas. So first of all, Chandragupta Maurya. So probably Chandragupta Maurya looked like this. We don't know, but then I found a nice picture. I put it there. Now, Chandragupta Maurya, he was a founder of the Mauryan Empire, as you all know. At the age of 25 years, he dethroned Dhanananda. So he killed Dhanananda at the age of 25 years and conquers Patliputra. And his mentor guide was Chanakya. Now, what did Chandragupta do? So he becomes king at the age of 25 years. And he has established the Mauryan Empire after overthrowing the Nandas. Now, the first task before Chandragupta Maurya was to consolidate his newly established uh, kingdom. So what he did is he first conquered the Gangetic Valley. That is where Patliputra is situated, the Magadha region. He conquered the entire Gangetic Valley. Then we see him going to the northwest. Understand this? We see him going to the northwest, and he conquers everything up to the river Indus. So he conquers the Gangetic Valley. Then he conquers everything up to the river Indus. Then we see him coming to central India. So from the northwest, we see him coming to central India. And Chandragupta Maurya conquers everything up to the river Narmada. Up to the river Narmada. By 312 BC, he conquers everything up to the river Narmada. So first he conquers the Gangetic Valley, then in the northwest, everything up to the river Indus, then everything up to the river Narmada in central India. And then again, between 305 and 303 BC, for 2 years, that is between 305 and 303 BC, we see Chandragupta Maurya fighting in the northwest against Seleucus Nicator. Seleucus Nicator was one of the generals of Alexander. Please understand, Alexander had died. And one of his generals, by name Seleucus Nicator, was claiming the Asiatic provinces of Alexander's empire as his own. Alexander had established a huge empire, right, consisting of Asia Minor, that is parts of Asia as well as Europe. So those parts of Alexander's empire, which were part of present-day Asian continent, those areas were claimed by Seleucus Nicator. And here we have an upstart. We have Chandragupta Maurya, who had recently overthrown the Nandas, and he was trying to consolidate his newly established empire. And these two ambitious men came into contact with each other, Seleucus Nicator and Chandragupta Maurya. And there was a war between these two people, Chandragupta Maurya versus Seleucus Nicator. And this war lasted for 2 years, 305 to 303 BC. Now, we don't know the result of this war. We don't know who won and who was defeated, right? But then we know that there was a peace treaty which was signed at the end of 2 years of war. And from the terms of this peace treaty, we come to know that probably it was Chandragupta Maurya who had defeated Seleucus Nicator. I repeat, Chandragupta Maurya fought against Seleucus Nicator for 2 years. And we don't know the result of this war, but we know definitely that there was a treaty which was signed, a peace treaty which was signed between these two adversaries, Chandragupta Maurya and Seleucus Nicator. And from the terms of this peace treaty, we presume and we come to know that it was probably Chandragupta Maurya who had defeated Seleucus Nicator. Now, what are the terms of the peace treaty on your screen? Chandragupta Maurya. So I have used the word CGM. So please understand here, CGM I have used liberally, short form for Chandragupta Maurya. So, but if you have to write in the mains, don't write CGM. You write Chandragupta Maurya in full. Okay. Again, I repeat, you write Chandragupta Maurya in full. Don't write CGM. This is for our convenience that I have put it here. So Chandragupta Maurya gifted 500 elephants to Seleucus Nicator. Remember this? 500 elephants were gifted by Chandragupta Maurya to Seleucus Nicator. And what did Seleucus Nicator do in return? He gave up the Trans-Indus region. That is all those areas across the river Indus, consisting of present-day Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, Baluchistan, Jedrosia, Arakosia, etc. These are all Greek names. Jedrosia, Arakosia, etc. So he gave up those areas which we now call Kabul, Kandahar, Baluchistan, etc. So 500 elephants were given by Chandragupta Maurya to Seleucus Nicator, and Seleucus Nicator abandoned or gave up the Trans-Indus region. This is number one clause of the peace treaty. Secondly, Seleucus Nicator gave his daughter Helena in marriage to Chandragupta Maurya. So Helena was married by Chandragupta Maurya. And thirdly, Megasthenes, an ambassador called Megasthenes, was sent to the court of Chandragupta Maurya by Seleucus Niceta. And Megasthenes stayed in Patliputra in the court of Chandragupta Maurya, and he wrote a book called Indica. And from this Indica, indirectly from this Indica, we come to know a lot of information about the Mauryan government, Mauryan society, economy, etc. Okay, of course, I told you, Indica, the original Indica written by Megasthenes has been lost, but many Greek and Roman writers extensively quote from the Indica. So, so this is about Chandragupta Maurya. Then what happened? Now you see a remarkable story of Chandragupta Maurya, the man who overthrew the Nandas with the help of Chanakya. He defeated Seleucus Nicator, conquered everything from parts of Afghanistan to central India, and then he ruled for 24 years. After 24 years, what happened? We are told by Hemachandra, the 12th century scholar from Gujarat, in the court of the Chalukyas of Gujarat, Hemachandra. What does he tell us? Look here, I'll use a map here, I'll use a screen. So you see, I believe there was a famine. Hemachandra tells us, so imagine this is Patliputra, this is Pataliputra. So Hemachandra, the 12th century scholar, tells us that there was a famine in Magadha region. So there was a famine in this region. There were no rains for 12 years. So there was a famine going on. And this famine lasted for how many years? 12 years. And this famine happened during the time of Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya was the emperor. So as a result, when there were no rains for 12 continuous years, a group of Jain monks under their leader Bhadrabahu were migrating towards South India. So their leader was Bhadrabahu. So a group of Jain monks under their leader Bhadrabahu were migrating towards South India. Chandragupta Maurya abdicated the throne. Abdicated, that is, voluntarily gave up the throne. Abdicated. So he gave up the throne in favor of his son Bindusar. So he gave up the throne to his son Bindusar. He also became a Digambar monk, and he also joined Bhadrabahu in this migration. So Chandragupta Maurya joined Bhadrabahu, and all these Jain monks came to South India, to the present region of Karnataka, what we now call Shravana Belagola. So there's a place called Shravana Belagola. Shravana Belagola. So in present day Karnataka. So they come here, these Bhadrabahu and Chandragupta Maurya, along with other Jain monks. And Chandragupta Maurya lived in Shravana Belagola in a hill, in the cave of a hill. This hill has been called Chandragiri Hill. Okay, so there was a cave there, a natural cave. He lived in that cave, I believe, for many years, and ultimately committed Sallekhana. So he died here, committing Sallekhana. That is, what is Sallekhana? Voluntarily giving up food until one dies. That's called Sallekhana. So I'll show you the picture here. You can see. So according to Hemachandra's Parishishta Parvan, that's the book written by Hemachandra, Chandragupta Maurya abdicated his throne in favor of his son Bindusar, went to Shravana Belagola and committed Sallekhana. So this is the empire of Chandragupta Maurya. On your screen, you can see the blue highlighted one. These are all the conquests of Chandragupta Maurya. So he conquers everything from parts of Afghanistan to Narmada. So entire North India was conquered by him up to Narmada. And probably Seleucus Nicator looked like this on your screen. And this is Megasthenes. Right? And this is Chandragiri Hill. This is Shravana Belagola in the Hassan district of Karnataka. So there's a district in Karnataka called Hassan district. The ex-prime minister of India, H.D. Devagowda, comes from this district, Hassan district. So here there is a hill, Chandragiri Hill, right? And this hill has been named after Chandragupta Maurya, and there is a gufa or a cave there. So here Chandragupta Maurya lived in that cave for many years, and on top of this hill, you can see here the statue of Bahubali Gommateshwara. the statue of Bahubali, Gomateshwara, the tallest monolithic statue in India. Historically, the tallest monolithic statue in India, 58 feet in height. But then I'll tell you the story of Bahubali, Gomateshwara when I do Jainism as part of art and culture. We will discuss that. Who was this Bahubali? Why is he standing like that? All those things we will discuss when I do as part of Jainism. So this is Chandragiri Hill, named after Chandragupta Maurya. There are 660 steps here. You can see here, people are walking on those steps. There are 660 steps to go to the summit of the Chandragiri Hill to take the darshan of Lord Bahubali Gomateshwara. And people who cannot climb, you have palanquins. Palanquin service is also there. So if you give certain amount of money, you have people who will carry you. Old people or physically handicapped people who cannot climb can reach the summit through palanquins also. Right. And this is the Basadi, the temple, Chandragupta Basadi, in which Chandragupta Maurya used to meditate and pray. Of course, this was built much later. This temple was much smaller when Chandragupta Maurya was existing. This temple has been expanded later. This is on the Chandragiri Hill, the Chandragupta Basadi. And these are the footprints of Chandragupta Munipati. So you can see here, these are the footprints of Chandragupta Maurya, and he's called Chandragupta Munipati. And these are about 3,000 years old. These footprints of Chandragupta Maurya, of course, enlarged version of his footprints, and Jains even now pray to those footprints. Right? So this is about Chandragupta Maurya. He died at Shravanabelagola. Now please understand, the concept of welfare state was begun by Chandragupta Maurya. The concept of welfare state was begun by him. Now what is welfare state? As you all know, welfare state is the government or the state exists for the welfare of its subjects, for welfare of its citizens. For example, some years back when COVID struck, when we were all scared, and then vaccination was discovered, was invented, vaccines were invented and perfected. Government of India decided to give free vaccination to the people of this country. And that is an example of welfare state. The state exists for the sake of its citizens. The government exists for the sake of its citizens. This concept of welfare state was begun by Chandragupta Maurya. Now, how do we know this? How do we know the concept of welfare state was begun by him? We have two examples to cite. One is the Sohagaura and Mahastan inscriptions found in present-day Uttar Pradesh talk about the famine relief measures undertaken by the government of Chandragupta Maurya. So when there was a famine, that is when rains failed, what are the various ameliorative steps, corrective measures taken by the government of Chandragupta Maurya to reduce the sufferings of the people? So all these details, what all the government did to provide relief to the people during the time of famine, providing drinking water, food, etc. All these details are found in the Sohagaura and Mahastan inscriptions. So that again shows that this was a welfare state. Secondly, we have a lake which was constructed in present-day Gujarat region, known as Junagadh or Girnar. So at a place called Junagadh or Girnar, one of the governors of that place, he was the governor of Chandragupta Maurya, his name was Vaishya Pushyagupta. He constructed a lake in the semi-arid region of Gujarat at a place called Junagadh or Girnar. So, you see Gujarat, neighboring state is Rajasthan, you have a desert there. So many parts of Gujarat are also semi-arid. You don't have much rainfall. And that was a condition even during the time of Chandragupta Maurya. So therefore, a lake was built in the region of Junagadh or Girnar to provide irrigation and drinking water facilities to the people of that region. And who built that lake? A person called Vaishya Pushyagupta. Vaishya Pushyagupta, he was the governor of Junagadh. So he was the one who built that lake. So from that we come to know that again, government of Chandragupta Maurya was a welfare state. Are you there with me? Yeah, Gunjan, yeah, from there Digambar Shwetambar came into existence. That's a different story, Digambar Shwetambar. I will talk about it later. Okay. Did you understand welfare concept here? From these two examples, we come to know that this was a welfare state. Okay, the Mauryan state was a welfare state. And the concept of welfare state was begun by Chandragupta Maurya. Now, please understand, we have the Junagadh rock inscription. So we have a rock inscription which has been found at Junagadh in Gujarat. This Junagadh rock inscription was issued by a Shaka king called Rudradaman. So there was a dynasty called Shaka dynasty, which came to power in the post-Maurya period. I'll talk about it when I come to post-Maurya chapter. So we have 5 branches of the Shakas. One branch of the Shaka is called the Kardamaka branch. Totally, we have 5 branches of the Shakas. Among the 5 branches, 2 are important. And one branch is called the Kardamaka branch. Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. Kardamaka branch of the Shakas. And the king of this branch was by name Rudradaman. And this Rudradaman, the Shaka king of the Kardamaka branch of the Shakas, he issued an inscription which has been called Junagadh rock inscription. Understand this? Junagadh rock inscription. So there's a big boulder. Understand, there was a big boulder, and he has written the history of the Sudarshana lake. Who all built that? What all happened to that lake? Who built it? And who all repaired that lake? Those details are there in the Junagadh rock inscription. And from that inscription, we come to know the history of the Sudarshana lake. Now look here on your screen. This is the Junagadh rock inscription. You can see it here on your screen. This is the picture of the Junagadh rock inscription issued by the Shaka king Rudradaman I. And this is the picture of the Sudarshana lake in Junagadh. This lake was constructed by whom and who all repaired that lake? Those details are found in the Junagadh rock inscription. And according to this inscription, you can see here, this lake was built by Vaishya Pushyagupta, the governor of Junagadh during the time of Chandragupta Maurya. So he was the governor of Junagadh during the time of Chandragupta Maurya. So he was the one who built that lake. Then the Junagadh rock inscription goes on to narrate the fact that during the time of Ashoka, who was the governor of the Junagadh area, Yavanaraja Tushaspa. Yavanaraja Tushaspa was the governor of Junagadh during the time of Ashoka. And I believe at that point in time, the lake was damaged. The walls of the lake were breached. There was a flood. In the neighboring rivers, there was a flood. I don't want to name those rivers. Too much of information is again not correct. So Subarnaneka and Palasina. So don't worry about it. Even if you don't remember, it doesn't matter. So neighboring rivers, there was a flood, and that resulted in water flowing in a torrent and damaging the walls of this lake. And therefore, Yavanaraja Tushaspa, the governor of Ashoka, the governor of Junagadh during the time of Ashoka, got this lake repaired. Then I believe, again, this Junagadh rock inscription tells us that during the time of Rudradaman, himself, again this lake was damaged. And the governor of Junagadh during the time of Rudradaman was Suvishka. He got this lake repaired without charging Vishti and Pranaya. Vishti is forced labor. Without forced labor, that is, what is forced labor? You don't pay anything to the laborers. You forcibly make them work. That is called forced labor. So without engaging in forced labor and without charging emergency tax. Pranaya means emergency tax. So without charging any tax on the people of that area, that is without charging the Pranaya tax or emergency tax, he got that lake repaired. And again, this Junagadh rock inscription tells us ultimately during the time of Skandagupta, one of the Gupta kings, Skandagupta, again this lake was damaged, and this lake was repaired by the governor of Junagadh during the time of Skandagupta. His name was Chakrapalita. So Chakrapalita got the lake repaired. This is the history of the Sudarshana lake, which has been mentioned in the Junagadh rock inscription. And this Junagadh rock inscription was issued by the Shaka king Rudradaman. Did you understand? Hello? Did you understand whatever I just now told you? All of you, can you please raise your hands? Do you want me to repeat? Hello? Okay, you understood. Okay. So remember these names, please. So during the time of Skandagupta, Chakrapalita was the governor of Junagadh. Checha, sir, it's too much information of just one lake. What do I do? Checha, what do I do? This is about, thank God, it's about only one lake, not many lakes. You just have to remember the information about one lake. Why don't you think positively, Checha? How Rudradaman knew about these facts? Because, yeah, this has been recorded there. Even after Rudradaman's, Rudradaman had died long time back. But then we also have this lake repaired by Skandagupta's governor of Junagadh by name Chakrapalita. That has also been mentioned on this rock inscription. So somebody took the effort to inscribe it. Okay. Yeah, it is available. Even now it is available. Ankush. Okay. Are you there with me? So from this we come to know that Chandragupta Maurya's government was a welfare state. Now we move on. Emil, I don't know these details, Emil. Please mail me. I will forward it to the concerned department, and I have noted down your phone number. I will pass on the phone number also. That's what I can tell you. Okay. I'll ask somebody to talk to you. Don't worry. I'll again. I know I may be disturbing this class, but I will read your number: 9321764018. Okay, Emil. Right? Okay, fine. I will pass on this information. Let me come back here. Bindusar. So after Chandragupta Maurya, we have Bindusar, who succeeded Chandragupta Maurya. So Bindusara, on your screen, you can see probably look like this, Bindusar. Now, what about Bindusar? Understand this. Bindusar succeeded his father Chandragupta Maurya, and he has been called Amitragata. In Sanskrit, he has been given a title, Amitragata. Amitragata, slayer of enemies, slayer of foes, somebody who killed his enemies. And Greeks call him Amitrochates. Amitrochates. Now, Bindusara is the person who patronized the Ajivika sect. Chandragupta Maurya supported Jainism. Bindusara supported a sect called Ajivika sect. Ajivika sect. Now, we are told by a 16th century Tibetan monk. 16th century Tibetan monk. His name is Lama Taranatha. Lama Taranatha. Lama Taranath, 16th century Tibetan monk, tells us that Bindusara conquered the land between the two seas. So this is the Arabian Sea and this is the Bay of Bengal. So he says the land between the two seas was conquered by Bindusara. In other words, South India was conquered by Bindusara. So Chandragupta Maurya conquered everything from parts of Afghanistan to the Vindhyas. South India was conquered by Bindusara. And we also come to know that the deep south, this is the deep south, which is the deep south, this is the deep south, where you have the Cholas, the Cheras, and the Pandyas. Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. They probably accepted the overlordship of the Mauryas and agreed to pay tribute to the Mauryas annually. So every year, they used to send a certain amount of money to the Mauryan emperor at Patliputra as a tribute. And also, probably they had accepted the overlordship of the Mauryas. Now, how do we know this? We have a Tamil epic. There's a Tamil epic called Shilapadigaram. Shilapadigaram. In that epic, we have a reference to Mauryan chariots throwing up dust and racing across the Tamil land with their white flags fluttering on top of their pinnacle. On top of their chariots, the white flags were fluttering. They were speedily racing across the Tamil land and throwing up dust. So there's a reference to Mauryan chariots in the Shilapatikaram, one of the epics written by the Tamils. So from that, it is presumed by historians that probably the deep south was also indirectly ruled by the Mauryas. Now, Bindusar, understand this, Bindusar sent an ambassador to Syria. Syria, I'll show you the map here. You see, you can see here, this is Syria, about Damascus. Israel is here. In my map, I had marked Syria. Just above Damascus is Syria. Syria is somewhere here. little bit above Damascus. So Syria comes somewhere here. So here there was a Greek king. During those days, you have Greeks ruling this area, right? So there was a king of Syria by name Antiochus. Antiochus the first Theos of Syria. He was a king of Syria. And what did Bindusar do? Bindusar sent an ambassador to the court of Antiochus the first Theos, asking for three things. He requested his ambassador, he ordered his ambassador rather, to request three things from the king of Syria, Antiochus the first Theos. So what are the three things demanded by Bindusar or requested by Bindusar? He wanted the king of Syria, Antiochus, to send him sweet wine. Look at this fellow, Bindusara. He wanted to drink sweet wine, that is imported wine, then dry figs, and a sophist or a philosopher. Sophist or a philosopher. So he requested Antiochus, the king of Syria, to send these three things to him. And in return, understand this, in return, Antiochus, the king of Syria, sent an ambassador called Dimachus. He sent an ambassador called Dimachus. So Dimachus comes to the court of Bindusara and he brings sweet wine with him. He brings along with him sweet wine and dry figs. Only these two things are brought. And an instruction that in Greece, philosophers are not for sale. He did not bring a sophist or a philosopher. He said philosophers are not for sale in Greece. Did you understand? So, Bindusara sent an ambassador to Syria asking for three things to be sent, that is sweet wine, dry figs, and a sophist or a philosopher. And the Syrian king in turn sent Dimachus to the court of Bindusara, and along with Dimachus, he sent sweet wine and dry figs, and an instruction that in ancient Greece, philosophers are not for sale. So Dimachus was the ambassador who came to the court of Bindusara. Then we have the king of Egypt. During those days, Egypt was ruled by Ptolemy. Ptolemy II Philadelphus. Ptolemy II Philadelphus. He was the king of Egypt. And this king of Egypt, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, sent Dionysius. Dionysius has his ambassador to the court of Bindusara. So Dionysius comes to the court of Bindusara. Okay, so two ambassadors came to his court, that is to the court of Bindusar. One was Dimachus, sent by the Syrian king, and Dionysius, sent by the king of Egypt. Right? Clear till here, all of you? Can I move on? All of you, are you clear? Okay, now look here. Now, Bindusara had many sons. Understand this? Bindusar had many sons. His eldest son was Susima. Susima, not Shushma, this is Susima. He was the governor of Ujjain. Sorry, governor of Takshashila. Susima, the governor of Taxila. Taxila, which is now in Pakistan. Takshashila. Right? So eldest son was Susima, and his another son was Ashoka. Ashok. Who was the governor of Ujjain? He had been appointed as the governor of Ujjain. Now we are told, understand this, we are told that there was a revolt at Takshashila. There was a serious revolt at Takshashila. What was the reason for the revolt at Takshashila? Because of bureaucratic atrocities. Because of bureaucratic atrocities, the officers were very, very corrupt. The Mauryan officers were very, very corrupt. So, bureaucratic atrocities. And therefore, the people of Takshashila, including the merchants of Takshashila, had risen in revolt, opposing these bureaucratic atrocities or bureaucratic misdemeanor. So there was a serious revolt at Takshashila, and Susima was unable to put down that revolt. Susima was unable to put down that revolt. As a result, Bindusar, who was the king, now Bindusar was the king, and what was the capital of the Mauryas? Pataliputra. So Bindusara was in Pataliputra. That was the Mauryan capital, Pataliputra. So he ordered Ashoka to proceed from Ujjain to Takshashila and help in putting down that revolt. So as a result, Ashoka made his way, understand this, Ashoka made his way from Ujjain to Takshashila. He went from Ujjain to Takshashila and he successfully put down that revolt. He successfully put down that revolt. Ashoka went from Ujjain to Takshashila and he was successful in putting down that revolt. We are told that around this time at Patliputra, Bindusara died. Bindusara died at Patliputra, right? As a result, all his sons, including Ashoka, made their way to Patliputra because their father had died. So all the sons of Bindusara went to Patliputra. So Ashoka went to Patliputra from Takshashila. He was there in Takshashila at that point in time. He did not go to Patliputra from Ujjain. He was present in Takshashila. He had gone there to put down the revolt, and from Takshashila, he directly came to Patliputra. And we are told that there was a civil war. All the children, all the sons of Bindusar began to fight for the throne. And this civil war lasted for 4 years, 272 to 268 BC. For 4 years. This civil war lasted for 4 years. All the sons of Bindusar are fighting for the throne. And we have the Buddhist books. Understand this. Buddhist textbooks, Buddhist texts tell us, what do they tell us? They tell us Ashoka killed 99 of his brothers. Ashoka killed how many? Ashoka killed 99 of his brothers, spared one brother, that is Tissa, and became emperor. Ashoka killed 99 of his brothers. He spared one brother by name Tissa. So he did not kill Tissa. And then he became emperor. This is according to Buddhist textbooks. If I'm correct, Mahavamsha. Mahavamsha is the one, or rather, Mahavamsha is the one which gives us this information. Whereas we have the Tibetan monk. I don't know why he did not kill Checha. Checha is asking me. Checha is asking me why he did not kill Tissa. Books also don't tell us. Probably he liked Tissa. Maybe he was a very, very sweet boy. I don't know what is the reason. Checha. Books don't elaborate about that. Now, Ashok, whereas Lama Taranatha, the Tibetan monk, 16th century Tibetan monk, tells us Ashoka killed 6 of his brothers. Ashoka killed 6, spared 1, that is Tissa. Spared 1, that is Tissa, and then he became emperor. Lama Taranatha tells us Ashoka killed 6, spared 1 called Tissa, and then he became emperor. Now tell me, if I ask you a question, which seems a realistic number? Which seems a realistic number? Yeah, 6 seems very realistic. 99 seems fantastic, isn't it? 99 seems fantastic, unrealistic. 666 seems a realistic number. Unless Ashoka was like Magadhira. You see the movie of Magadhira, fights and kills 100 people like that. So, right. So, unless Ashoka was Magadhira. So, anyway, we'll come back here. Let me not distract you. Now, the question is, why do the Buddhist textbooks claim this way? Why do the Buddhist texts tell us that Ashoka killed 99, spared one, and then came to power, then became emperor? This is to highlight the influence Buddhism had on Ashoka. Understand this? This is to highlight the influence Buddhism had on Ashoka. Buddhist textbooks tell us, understand this, Buddhist textbooks tell us that initially Ashoka was Chanda Ashoka. They tell us that he was what? Chanda Ashoka. Chanda Ashoka. Chanda means Chanda Ashoka. He was like Chamundi, the goddess Durga who killed the demon Chamunda. So he was a very bloodthirsty tyrant, I believe. Ashoka was known for his temper. And if he gets angry, he will chop off people's head without any reason. So he was like that, Chanda Ashoka. So he was initially Chanda Ashoka. Then he was Kam Ashoka. Kam Ashoka. Always surrounded by women, enjoying sensual pleasures, sexual pleasures. So he was Chanda Ashoka, Kam Ashoka. That's what the Buddhist texts tell us. And then when he came under the influence of Buddhism, he became Dhamma Ashoka. He became a good boy. He left everything and became a good boy. Dhamma Ashoka. So they are trying to highlight the positive influence Buddhism had on Ashoka. Initially, he was Chanda Ashoka, then Kama Ashoka also, and then he became Dhamma Ashoka. He gave up all these bad habits, killing people, womanizing, etc., and then he became a sweet, an ardent supporter of Buddhism. Right? Okay, Bhimare, are you there with me? So Chanda Ashoka, Kama Ashoka, Dhamma Ashoka. So that's what the Buddhist textbooks tell us. So they're only trying to highlight the influence Buddhism had on Ashoka. So Taranatha's information seems more realistic than that of the Buddhist textbooks. So this is about Bindusar. Okay, so you come back here. Let us discuss this. Bindusar. So Bindusar patronized Ajivika sect. He was called Amitra Gata or Amitra Chets, that is slayer of enemies. Then a Jain text called Rajavali Kate calls him Simhasena. Anyway, Lama Taranatha tells us that Bindusara conquered the land between the two seas. That is, South India was conquered by Bindusar. Two Greek ambassadors visited his court. We already discussed. One was Dimachus. Dimachus was sent by the king of Syria, Antiochus I. And Bindusara asked for three things to be sent. One was for sweet wine, dry figs, and a sophist. But sending a sophist was refused because in Greece, sophists were not for sale. So the Syrian king refused to send a sophist to the court of Bindusara. He sent only sweet wine and dry figs. And Dionysius was sent as an ambassador by the king of Egypt, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus. So these are the coins of Antiochus I of Syria. You can see here his picture has been embossed on the coin. Picture of Antiochus I of Syria. It has been embossed along with his name. And this is the head of Ptolemy II, Philadelphus of Egypt, the king of Egypt, who sent Dionysius to the court of Bindusar. So the Divya Vadana, the Buddhist textbook, Tibetan Buddhist textbook, talks about the revolt at Takshashila. As I told you, Susima was unable to quell that revolt. Thereupon, Bindusara ordered Ashoka, who was the governor of Ujjain, to proceed to Takshashila and put down that revolt. And Ashoka was able to successfully put down the revolt at Takshashila. And around this time, Bindusara died at Patliputra, and all his sons went to stake their claim to the throne. There was a civil war which lasted for how many years? 4 years, 272 to 268 BC. And in this civil war, Ashoka killed a certain number of his brothers, and then became emperor. So Ashoka, Samrat Ashok, probably looked like this. You can see here Samrat Ashok. So the greatest of the Mauryas. Okay. So according to the Mahavamsha, the Buddhist textbook, Ashoka captured the throne after killing all his brothers. Lama Tarnath gives 6 as the number. He killed 6 of his brothers, whereas Buddhist textbooks tell us he killed 99. Right? Now, what do you know about Ashoka? We will discuss about Ashoka in detail. He is the most important king among the Mauryas. Very interesting. Let's talk about Ashoka. I'm sure all of you know quite a lot about Ashoka. So here, Ashoka comes to power in 268 BC. He came to power in 268 BC. He ruled till 232 BC. For about 36 years, he ruled. Ashoka. Right? Now, 8 years, he had ruled for 8 years. He comes to power in 268 BC. So he had ruled already for 8 years. And around understand this, around 261 or 260 BC, Ashoka attacked Kalinga. So in the beginning of the ninth year of his reign, that is around 261 or 260 BC, Ashoka attacks Kalinga and he conquers Kalinga. Right? He conquers Kalinga. So we have the major rock edict number 13. Major rock edict number 13. It gives us information about the Kalinga war. The major rock edict number 13 is the lengthiest of the 14 major rock edicts, isn't it? Lengthiest of the 14. And it gives us information about the Kalinga war. What does it tell us? The major rock edict number 13. In that, Ashoka tells us that 1 lakh people were killed. Understand this? 1 lakh people were killed. In the Kalinga war, 1 lakh people were killed. 1.5 lakh people were taken prisoners. They were made POWs, prisoners of war. And many times that number perished, he says. Many times that number perished. Many times that number perished. I repeat, 1 lakh people were killed, 1.5 lakh people were taken prisoners, and many times that number perished. And generally, the classical historians of yesteryears, have told us that the whatever he saw in the Kalinga war, the death, the destruction, the pain, the bloodshed, etc., hurt Ashoka so much. It melted his heart. He had not seen so much of pain, death, and destruction any time in his life, so much of bloodshed and pain. So overnight, he converted himself to Buddhism. He gave up warfare as a policy, and overnight he converted himself to Buddhism and became an ardent supporter of Buddhism. That's what the old historians or historians of yesteryears have told us. And modern historians have pondered over this, whether it is true. Is it true that he immediately converted himself after the Kalinga war? And the question and the answer is no. We have evidence here, the Bhabru Rock Edict. I've already told you about the Bhabru Rock Edict. So Bhabru is a place in West Bengal. Bhabru Rock Edict. It was found in West Bengal, the Bhabru Rock Edict. And from the Bhabru Rock Edict, we come to know that Ashoka did not convert himself to Buddhism immediately after the Kalinga war. In fact, he converted himself to Buddhism 2.5 years after the Kalinga war. 2.5 years after the Kalinga war. So please remember, Kalinga war happened in his 9th year of his rule. In the beginning of the 9th year, he attacks Kalinga. 9th year of his rule. Right? So 2.5 years after the Kalinga war, he became an ardent supporter of Buddhism. Chicha, I'll come to that, just hold on. Right? So 2.5 years after the Kalinga war, he converted himself to Buddhism. And he brought in this concept of Dhamma. He brought in this concept of Dhamma. Now, understand this. What was the why is Ashoka considered to be great? Why is Ashoka considered to be a great king? Ashoka the Great, we say. Why? Um, he is supposed to be the first king in the history of the world to have given up warfare after having conquered everything. Understand this. First king in the history of the world to have to have voluntarily given up warfare after having conquered everything. So that is the reason why he is considered to be great. But then we have to, modern historians have questioned this. Is it really true? Did he conquer everything? The answer is he only conquered Kalinga. He only conquered Kalinga. He had nothing else to conquer. In fact, he did not conquer anything else except Kalinga. You see here on your screen. See this? You see here on your screen. His grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya, had conquered everything from, look here on your screen. His grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya, had conquered everything from parts of Afghanistan to Narmada. So this was the work of his grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya. Then his father had conquered South India, that is Bindusar. Bindusar had conquered South India, the land between the two seas. There was one small area to be conquered, that is modern day Orissa. This is Orissa here. So this is our Kalinga. So Kalinga was conquered by Ashoka. That was the only conquest of Ashoka. After conquering Kalinga, he did not know what to do. Okay. Many times that number perished is many times the number of prisoners. I'll come to that, Bhimra, just hold on. Understand this. So the only conquest of Ashoka was Kalinga. After having conquered Kalinga, Ashoka did not know what to do. If he wanted to fight, against whom will he fight? Use your common sense, all of you. If he wants to fight against some king, whom will he fight against? Because as you can see on your map, everything was under his control. All had accepted the Mauryas as their overlords. They were sending tributes to the Mauryan emperor every year to Patliputra. A certain amount of money was sent, and they had accepted the Mauryan king as their overlord. So there was nobody to fight against. You understand? And for 2.5 years, Ashoka was literally jobless. He did not know what to do because he had such a huge bureaucracy, he had such a huge army, and everything was under his control. And he never thought of conquering outside India, right? So, after 2.5 years, he brought in this concept of Dhamma. Understand this. He had to keep his officers and soldiers focused. He had to give some work to the bureaucracy. So, he had a huge army of officials, and they had to be kept busy. So what Ashoka did is he brought in this concept of Dhamma. So what is Dhamma? Understand this. In Sanskrit, Dharma. So Dhamma is slightly different from Buddhism. Understand this. What is Dhamma? What does Ashoka say as part of Dhamma? He says, respect your parents, respect your teachers, respect your elders, respect people of other religions. That way your own religion will be great. Practice ahimsa, non-violence. Avoid slander, that is speaking behind people's backs. Avoid slander. Practice liberality. Be liberal in your thinking and in your living. Practice ahimsa, non-violence. Speak the truth, etc. These are all the tenets of the Dhamma. These are all the teachings of his Dhamma. And he told the people that if you follow Dhamma, if you practice Dhamma, you will attain Swarga. What is Swarga? Heaven. You will attain Swarga or heaven. Then he made, you have doctrinal and symbolic differences between Dhamma and Buddhism. Dhamma is different from Buddhism. Please understand here. See, Ashoka told his people to follow Dhamma 24 hours in a day. So you have the Ashoka Dharma Chakra, which has how many spokes? 24 spokes. What does 24 denote here? That everybody should follow Dhamma 24 hours in a day. So that is the reason why there are 24 spokes. And he told the people that if you follow Dhamma, you will attain Swarga or heaven. Then he created a class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattaras. Dhamma Maha Mattaras. Dhamma Maha Mattaras. What was the duty of these officers? Dhamma Maha Mattaras. They were supposed to go from place to place and propagate Dhamma, Ashoka's Dhamma. Now, please understand, Buddha never spoke about Swarga. Who were the people who were spreading Buddhism? Whose duty was to spread Buddhism? The monks and the nuns, the Buddhist bhikshus and bhikshunis. That is the monks, Buddhist monks and nuns. Their duty was to spread Buddhism. Whereas Dhamma, to spread Dhamma, he created a separate class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattas. Buddha told, in his teachings, Buddha says that if you follow the Ashtangika Marga, the eightfold path, Buddha says that if you follow the eightfold path, I will guarantee that you will achieve nirvana. Nirvana, that is enlightenment. You will achieve nirvana. Here, Ashoka says that if you follow Dhamma, you will attain Swarga, heaven. Buddha never believed in God. He never spoke about God. Neither did he speak about heaven. So there is difference between Dhamma and Buddhism. But common people, ignorant people like you and me, those days, they mistook Dhamma to Buddhism. They thought Dhamma is equal to Buddhism because the teachings of the Dhamma, the tenets of the Dhamma were so similar to Buddhism that people thought Dhamma is equal to Buddhism. And therefore, Buddhism became very, very popular. And Dhamma died along with Ashoka. When Ashoka died, Dhamma also died along with him. Did you understand? Hello, all of you, did you understand? Clear? Did you understand? So there are doctrinal and symbolic differences between Dhamma and Buddhism. So, but then common people mistook Dhamma is equal to Buddhism, and Buddhism became very, very popular. Dhamma died along with Ashoka. Right? Now, so see, the thing is, I believe yesterday there was no webinar at 8:30. So somebody mentioned earlier in the class that I should continue till 8:30. So I will continue till 8:30 today because I don't know whether the webinar is there or not. Is it confirmed? Webinar is confirmed. Have you got the link and the message? Yesterday it was cancelled also, but there is webinar today. Ram, is there a webinar today? Okay, 10 minutes early I'll leave then. Okay. See, I also don't want to leave early. When I have spent almost more than 3 hours, I will not lose anything doing 10 minutes extra. And that is till 8:30. That's part of my job. But you are asking me to, you are telling me, reminding me that you have a webinar. So that is why, in your interest, I am trying to stop 10 minutes early because you have to eat your dinner and then sit for webinars. Beamray is telling take till 8:30. We don't want to waste time. Anyway, we'll come back here. Let me continue my class. Just hold on. We'll talk about the webinar part later. Okay? We'll come back here. Let me continue my class. Did you understand Dhamma here, all of you? Can you please focus on the Dhamma part? Wait for the webinar. There's still time for that. You cross the bridge when you arrive there. Can I move on? Okay, now look here. So you can see here on your screen. So this is the Dharma Chakra of Ashoka. Just hold on. You see, this is the 24 spokes, Dharma Chakra of Ashoka. And he says that people should follow Dhamma 24 hours in a day without fail. Let us look at other aspects of Ashoka's rule. I'll come back here. Just hold on. Let us look at his family members on your screen. The various wives and children of Ashoka. So Ashoka had many wives. We don't know how many wives he had, but that is his personal matter. We will not bother about it. Whatever we know, we will discuss about it. On your screen, I made a chart for our convenience. His first wife was Asandi Mitra. Ashoka's first wife, Asandi Mitra. So she was his chief queen. Asandi Mitra was his chief queen. After she died, Ashoka made another lady his chief queen. Her name was Tissarakshita. Tissarakshita. She became his chief queen after the death of Asandi Mitra. Now, please understand, Tisarakshita, over a period of time, became very angry with Ashoka. You know why she became angry? Because over a period of time, Ashoka became a fanatic with respect to Buddhism. He became almost a fanatic with respect to Buddhism. Day and night, he's talking about Buddha and Buddhism. Let us say, for example, Tisarakshita has dressed up nicely. She's put some nice jewels, nice, beautiful sari, etc., lipstick and all that. And she wants some compliment from her husband. And he comes, Ashoka comes and talks about Buddha. So she got very angry with her husband. What a, stupid husband I have. She wanted to teach a lesson to Ashoka. So what she did is, I believe, she smeared some poison on her nails. She applied some poison on her nails. And then she tried to harm the Bodhi tree, literally scratched the Bodhi tree. So she was the lady, Tisarakshita, who tried to harm the Bodhi tree under which Lord Buddha had attained Nirvana. You understand? Hello, are you there with me? So that's how frustrated she was because she went to harm the Bodhi tree because she was irritated with her husband. Hello, are you there with me? So always learn to give compliment to your wife whenever you get married. Okay, we'll come back here. Right? So remember Tisarakshita's story. We'll come back here. Then the another wife, Padmavati. Padmavati, she was the mother of Kunala. Okay. She was the mother of Kunala, the successor of Ashoka. So Kunala was the mother of, Padmavati was the mother of Kunala. So Kunala succeeded Ashoka to one part of the empire. I'll come to that in some time, just hold on. So the mother of Kunala was Padmavati. Then we have another wife, Vidisha Mahadevi. Vidisha Mahadevi. So she was a rich merchant's daughter, I believe. When Ashoka was the governor of Ujjain, Ujjain is in Madhya Pradesh, and Vidisha is also in Madhya Pradesh. So she was a rich merchant's daughter. And Ashoka, when he was the governor of Ujjain, he fell in love with her. Both of them fell in love with each other. And I believe he never married her. He never married Mahadevi, but he got two children from her. And these two children are Mahendra and Sangamitra. So Mahendra and Sangamitra were sent to Sri Lanka with a sapling from the original people tree, and they were the ones who introduced Buddhism in Sri Lanka. They were the children of Vidisha Mahadevi. Then we have another wife, Kauravaki or Karuvaki. Karuvaki or Kauruvaki. Now we have seen Ashoka had so many wives: Asandimitra, Tisarakshita, Padmavati, Vidisha Mahadevi, etc. But then in the Ashokan edicts, understand this, in the edicts of Ashoka, there is only one wife and one son mentioned. We have only a reference to one wife and one son of Ashoka, as if he had only one wife and son. So who is that wife? She is Kauruvaki or Kauruvaki, and her son Tivara. So these are the only two people mentioned. Only queen mentioned is Kauruvaki or Kauruvaki, and the only son mentioned is Tivara. And they are mentioned in the Allahabad inscription. So none of the family members of Ashoka are mentioned in his inscriptions except Karuvaki and Tivara. Maybe, I don't know what is the reason. Probably she was, at that point in time, she was his favorite wife. Okay. Ankush, we don't know all those details, Ankush. This is what we have, historians have gathered from various sources. So let us not presume anything. We'll just focus on these, whatever information we have. Now, look here. There were, I'm sure you people might have been very, very small. About 20 years back, 25 years back, some of you might not even have been born. There was one movie which came by name Ashoka. Who was the hero of that movie? Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan acted as Ashoka. And who was the heroine? As Karuvaki. That is Kareena Kapoor. Kareena Kapoor as Kauruvaki. I'm sure most of you might not have been born at that time. It's more than 20-year-old. You might get it on YouTube. Just find out. Right? Kareena Kapoor was a young girl that time. And Shah Rukh Khan. So it's a commercial cinema. Most of the time, Shah Rukh Khan as Ashoka is shown taking bath in the bathtub with one sword. So what is this? What is the story there? I believe he was in love with Karuvaki, and then he goes away somewhere, And then when he comes back, he finds that Karuvaki has died. No, he gets the information that Karuvaki died. He becomes mad with rage. He goes on a killing spree. Who Ashoka? And then later he comes to know that Karuvaki is very much alive. Then he becomes a good boy. He gives up, killing. That is the gist of that story, which is made for commercial cinema. There's no truth in that. Even if you see that, I'm sure you'll laugh. That is a movie. Okay. Anyway, let me not talk about this. This is Kaurvaki, only wife, and her son Tivara, mentioned in the edicts of Ashoka. No other wife or son is mentioned. Keep that in mind. Then we have Jaloka. Jaloka is supposed to be the successor of Ashoka, according to Kalhana's Rajatarangini. So Kalhana was a Kashmiri scholar, a scholar from Kashmir. He writes a book called Rajatarangini, which talks about the history of Kashmir till the 12th century AD. In that book called Rajatarangini, Kalhana tells us that Jaloka succeeded Ashoka. Okay, he became the ruler after Ashoka. And then we have the reference to a daughter called Charumati. She is supposed to have married a noble from Nepal and settled down in Nepal. These are the wives and children of Ashoka. Okay, various wives and children of Ashoka. But remember Karuvaki and Tivara. Okay. Just hold on, Ankush. We'll just hold on. I'm yet to finish Ashoka. Once I finish Ashoka, you will get the answer to your question automatically. Just hold on. So we have discussed the Kalinga War. Kalinga War took place in 261 or 260 BC. 13th major rocket gives details about the Kalinga War. 1 lakh people were killed. 1.5 lakh people were taken captive. That is, they were made prisoners of war. And many times that number, many times 1.5 lakhs. That is maybe 3 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. They perished, he says. So many people were killed. Lakhs of people were killed in the Kalinga War. And we are told that 2.5 years after the Kalinga War, Ashoka converted himself to Buddhism. The exact date is October the 14th, 265 BC. This is the traditional date on which Ashoka is supposed to have converted himself to Buddhism. And he brought in the concept of Dhamma, right? So I found a beautiful picture on the net. I put it Kalinga War. Probably this is how the Kalinga War was fought. 261 or 260 BC. You can see here on your screen. So entire area from Afghanistan to Central India was conquered by Chandragupta Maurya. South India was conquered by Bindusara. And Ashoka conquered only this area, Kalinga. Ashoka conquered Kalinga. And after that, he did not know against whom he had to go to war, literally. So he brought in this concept of Dhamma. So Ashoka brought in this concept of Dhamma. This was more what is Dhamma basically? How a person is supposed to conduct himself in his family and in society. Basically, the gist of Dhamma was how a person is supposed to conduct himself in his family and in his society. And he wanted people to be tolerant towards each other's religions, each other's practices, etc. Follow liberality, follow ahimsa, non-violence, speak the truth, and respect each other's religions, etc. And avoid all evil habits, follow only good virtues. So that is the gist of the Dhamma. He wanted to maintain peace and amity in society. We hear of almost 50 intersectarian conflicts. 50 intersectarian conflicts took place during Ashoka's period. And please understand, look at Ashoka. Modern historians have considered Ashoka as a practical politician. If he was, understand this, if he was so much hurt by the Kalinga War, what should he have done? He should have given back Kalinga to the people of Kalinga. Did he give back Kalinga to the people of Kalinga? No. He kept Kalinga with him. Now, we are told that he gave up warfare. If he had to give up warfare, he should not keep an army. Did he disband his army? No. He kept his army intact. Look at that. No, understand this. This is, we are deriving information from whatever facts we have got. This is the interpretation given by modern historians. He kept Kalinga with him. He did not give back Kalinga to the people of Kalinga. He did not abandon or disband his army. He kept the army intact. Was capital punishment banned? What is capital punishment? Death sentence. Death sentence continued to exist even after the Kalinga War. Okay, so in the Mauryan criminal law, if somebody robbed more than 40 panams, if somebody robbed more than 40 panas, more than 40, he was killed. He was executed. And less than 40 panas, he was mutilated. Mutilation was there. Mutilation of limbs, cutting of fingers, ears, nose, disgorging of eyes, etc. So capital punishment, mutilation of limbs continued to exist even after the Kalinga War. So he has been considered to be a practical politician than what the historians of yesteryears have told us. You understand? So that's about Ashoka. So here Ashoka, before he died, Ashoka divided the empire into two parts. Now, one more thing. He created a class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattaras to spread Dhamma. These are the Dhamma Mahamattaras, a separate class of officers called Dhamma Mahamattaras. And he sent them to different parts of India. On your screen, you can see Majjhima, Dhamma Mahamattara called Majjhima. He was sent to the Himalayan region to spread Dhamma. Majhautika to Kashmir and Gandhara. Mahadeva to Mahisha Mandala, that is Mysore region. Rakshita, that is Banavasi, Karnataka region. Banavasi, where the Kadambas ruled. Kadambas of Banavasi. Then Yona Dharma Rakshita, that is Aparanta, Konkan coast, where you have Goa and all those places. Mahadharma Rakshita was sent to Maharashtra. So these are the various Dhamma Mahamattaras who were deployed, who were sent by Ashoka to spread Dhamma. Before Ashoka died, he divided his empire into two parts. So I think I have run out of time. You want to have your dinner because of the webinar, which is at 8:30. So I'll stop here. I'll continue from wherever I stopped. Okay, from tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll finish Mauryan Empire and start with post-Maurya period. And hopefully we should also finish post-Maurya, or a major part of post-Maurya I should finish. Okay, so I'll meet you tomorrow at the same time, 5 o'clock. So you have a great webinar and a good night's sleep. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you very much. Okay, anything, you mail me. This is the interpreter, Deepshika, from whatever. So 16th century Tibetan monk Lama Tarnath gives us a lot of information. That seems more authentic than what modern historians have told us or interpreted, isn't it? So this seems more realistic. So from the Tibetan sources, Deepshika, from the Tibetan sources, Lama Tarnath gives us this information. Yeah, my email address is vijay.kumar@byju's.com. Vijay, V-I-J-Y, .kumar, Kumar, @byju's.com. Okay, that's my official mail address. Anything subject related query, please mail me. Anything else, you mail targetias@byju's.com. Okay, so you have a good night's sleep, and Hemil, I will transfer your phone number to the concerned people. Okay, let's see. Hopefully you should get a call. So we'll meet tomorrow. Carry on. We have Tibetan sources, a number of Buddhist monks who came from Tibet. So they also give us a lot of information about the Mauryas. Okay, Deepshika. Okay, so you take care. You have a good night's sleep after the webinar. I am logging out. Thank you.